I think it's from there. It's not from you, so you don't have to do anything. So, but
No,
when you're
me,
done,
I'm just practicing. And last but not the least, the third topic is going to be focused on learning how to get unstuck when you feel trapped in a job. Very important. Now, this topic is asking me if I want to unmute.
All right, hi, Miss Shaitan, we can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Good morning.
Good morning. Please let me know when you would like me to begin.
Please begin.
All right then. Hello, everyone. Oh, it's another Saturday. I'm excited. Welcome to the Confidence in Action Summit. My name is Shaitan Atigari, and I'll be your lovely host today. Now, Nigeria, stand up. The Confidence in Action Summit is a free 3-hour virtual event created to give you practical advice to help you advance your career. And I always need to pause at this part because when we say free, the She Leads Africa team and Darling Africa are bringing together 3 fantastic women to put you through these talks that make you come out feeling even more confident in your workplace. And what's not more important than feeling really confident? So let's go straight into it, right? You spend a particular time of your life at work, and I personally think that you should enjoy that time. That's why these 2 partners have come to connect you with these experts and thought leaders to help you uncover your path to a better work life. Today, you will get to listen to 3 notable Nigerian speakers, connect with like minded women, reflect on your personal career journey, and plan your next steps to start moving forward. From learning how to get unstuck when you feel trapped in a job, developing a professional brand to land your dream job, and handle setbacks during your career, and of course, using all those experiences to come out even stronger. One thing is for sure, we are confident. I am confident you're going to learn something new. Of course, you're going to have a good time and hopefully walk away with the clarity and confidence to make your next career move. Now, before I bring on our speakers, I would like you to even know who they are. Now, today's summit is going to be running for 3 hours. It's starting now at 11 and it's going to run till 2 p.m. That is West African time here in Nigeria. There will be 3 talks, like I mentioned, and these topics have been carefully selected based on the feedback from previous summits. Now, introducing the first talk is getting unstuck when you feel trapped in a job. Very important. It will be given by Istio Makoka, who is the HR advisory team lead at Shell. Thinking about getting unstuck when you feel trapped in a job, I think everybody can relate to that, including myself. So I can't wait for her to come on and tell us what she has in store for us today. Now, the second talk, do things and tell people, developing your professional brand to land your dream job, will be given to us by Nwamaka Oge Agoru. She's the Senior Human Resources Manager at Guinness PLC. And last but not the least, our third talk is bouncing back from rejection. Now, this particular topic is going to be focused on learning how to face setbacks during your career and come out stronger because of it. It's important to know that, it's not about how you fall, it's about how you bounce back. Right, people? And it will be delivered by my personal favorite, Dr. Chini Oguro. She's someone that I've followed on social media for such a long time. So I'm very excited to have her here today. She's the Senior Director in Health Technology at Broad Tech Group. Okay, so that's three women, three fantastic topics, and a lot of fun. Now, let's talk about the rules on here because I want to make sure that we are interacting in the best way possible. First off, I want to ask, if you have ever attended an event on Zoom before, can you raise your hands up? I want to see your hands up in the air, hands up. I'm not seeing those hands go up, people. Are your hands up? Okay, good. So now we're going to go through all the rules. First off, let's talk about the chat box. If you want to communicate via the chat box, it's very important to know that there are several ways you can do so. But what is important for you to know is if you want to send a comment and that you want everybody to see, please click on everyone and then send the message. But if you want to communicate directly with someone on the seminar, select that individual and send a message. Now, moving on to our Q&A, please use the question and answer box to send in questions that you would like the speaker to answer during the question and answer segments, which will take place after their presentation. You can also ask the support team for help if you experience any issues during the summit. Now, sharing is caring and would love to engage you meaningfully with your fellow attendees. So please answer and upvote any other attendees' questions. Now, there are going to be polls as well. A speaker might launch a poll to get to know you, to get feedback, just to find out more from you as the summit is going on. Now, you don't have to answer the polls, but I encourage you because it will help you get to know each other better, uncover valuable insights, and of course, help the speaker tailor their questions and answers to understand what to suit your needs. Now, we already tried the hand raise, like the polls. At some point, the speaker may want to conduct some impromptu polling. Use the hand raise quickly, like we did when I asked you if you've been on here before. And maybe we should try it out again. How many of you are excited for the first session? I know I am. That's why I have two hands up in the air, two hands in the air. Okay. I'm so excited that I just get carried away. I know that's that's not why we're here. Now, the final thing is the survey. At the end of the summit, a short survey will automatically appear on your screen. And I would appreciate it, and I'm sure the entire team here will do as well, if you could complete this survey and tell us more about your experience so that we can know what to do next. Are we good? Don't forget, if you'd like to post about your experience at the summit, please use the hashtag CIA Summit NG. Spelling that out, that is CIA SUMMITNG. Again, CIA SUMMITNG. You can also tag us on social media at She Leads Africa and Darling Nigeria. Woo! Now, we're about to begin. Are you ready for the first session? Are you ready? You see, when I think about the person that is about to come on your screens now, and I think about what she's about to say, getting unstuck when you feel trapped in a job. Have you ever seen any of those, when you set, maybe Tom and Jerry, when you set like a trap, and then a mouse gets stuck in that mouse trap and you just see the rats struggling, trying to get out. Sometimes some of us feel like that in our workplaces and we don't necessarily know what to do or how to move forward. And I believe that this talk will really help us in understanding the best way to move forward from those kind of situations. Now I'm going to introduce Istio Makoka. She is the quintessential people person with an HR career of 11 years, including generalist and specialist experience in the oil and gas and FMCG industries. Her roles have covered areas such as HR operations, attraction and recruitment, consulting, talent management, diversity and inclusion, and business partnering. She has worked with diverse business leaders across varying business lines and countries to translate business strategy into people's initiatives that deliver improved business performance and employee engagement. She holds a Bachelor of Business Administration in Human Resource Management from Baylor University, a Master of Science in Human Resources and Industrial Relations from Manchester Business School, and is certified with the Chartered Institute of Personal Development in the UK. Now I want to give a warm welcome to Istio Makoka. Hi, Istio, can you hear me?
Hi, Shayza, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear. I can't wait to hear what you have in store for us. Please take it away.
Honestly, listening to the introduction, I'm like, is this really? No, but I'm so
confidence in action. I love it. Let's go.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so honored that She Leads Africa reached out for the Confidence Summit, and I'm just really excited for what we're going to learn today. So, how many people here feel like they're stuck in their current jobs? Can you raise your hand? Let me see. How many people feel like they're stuck, whether it's in your current job or what it is that you're currently doing in life? Okay. So the hands are going up, I've been here before. And this is part of the reason, I guess, why I was tapped to give this talk today. So the truth is, you're not alone, right? Shaysan's already done such a great job introducing me that I don't really want to spend any time, but I'm just really passionate about building a more inclusive workforce and helping people reach their full potential. So today we're going to talk about what does stuck look and feel like. Okay, you're stuck, now what? And then once you've done the work, how do we make your next move, right? I'm all about giving you guys tips, actions. How can we actually move from where we are to where we're trying to go to? Now, we were talking about how many people feel stuck, and a lot of you put your hands up, right? And the truth is, you're not alone. Global research actually shows that 78% of people right now in the world actually feel stuck in their current job, right? But what does stuck feel like? How do we really know if we're stuck in a job? So let me see your hands up if you don't enjoy the job that you actually have to wake up and go to every day. See, the hands are going up. The hands are going out. Okay, so you feel stuck. Then what if you don't feel like you're getting the money that you deserve for the work that you're going to every day? Can I see your hands up? Even me, my hand is up. All right. But then what about you're in a job? It's okay, you don't hate it. You know, you kind of like going to work every day. You're getting paid a decent amount, but you're not growing professionally. You've kind of reached your peak of where you are. How many hands are up for that one? And that's basically what stuck feels like, right? And the truth is, feeling stuck is a major stressor in life. So if you find that you're feeling stressed all the time, if you find that sometimes you just get headaches, you can't explain away, like all this is actually part of what feeling stuck feels like, right? And if you're still not sure whether you're stuck or not, just ask yourself these 3 questions. Do you enjoy the work that you're doing? When it's Monday morning, you know, how do you feel? There's some people that when it's Monday morning, they go to sleep, they wake up in the morning, they're like, yes, thank you, Jesus. It's Monday. I'm about to go and do some impactful work. And then there's some people who don't see a career path where they are. They have a job, they're kind of, you know, it's okay, but they don't see themselves growing past where they currently are. Or where you actually want to be for your future self, you don't see that. And I'm going to tell you a personal story about when I was stuck and what stuck felt like for me. So the funny thing is, I asked myself the same questions. I enjoyed my work. Shaitan gave you guys my background, right? I studied HR. I did HR in undergrad. I did HR for my master's. But I didn't always know that I was going to do HR. So I come from a family of 3 girls. I have a very unique name, as Shaitan said, Istio Makoka. So I kind of wanted to take on the son role in my family. And I was like, I'm going to go and study engineering. But the truth is, it wasn't only because I wanted to make my dad happy. I actually really liked science when I was in secondary school. I struggled between choosing whether I was going to do government or physics, or why I had to choose between literature and chemistry, because I wanted to do both. I enjoyed both. But everyone told me then when I was younger, it's always easier to switch from science to arts. So I did science for my YA. When I went to university, I was supposed to be studying engineering. I started off, and in my first year, I was like, wow, I'm bored. And I had heard then that what you study in university is what your career for life is supposed to be. I'm like, okay, this is a 5-year course. At the end of year 1, I'm already pulling my hair out because I'm so bored. I struggle to motivate myself to go to class every day. So I wasn't failing because, like I said, I've always liked, science, and as well as I liked art. But I was just like, okay, but what do I want to do? I remember actually calling my mom at the time and saying, I don't want to do this. And she said, okay, that's fine, but what do you want to do? And I didn't have an answer. So she said, okay, so until you know what you want to do, continue doing this one that you're doing. I actually went and did a career personality test. It's by Myers-Briggs. And it basically told me that based on my personality, based on the type of person that I am, there are basically 3 careers that would make me happy and fulfilled. The 3 careers were, number 1 was environmental engineer, which ironically was what I was studying. Number 2 was human resources, which I hadn't actually heard of before. And number 3 was a nurse. Now, I'm asthmatic, so I'm not necessarily afraid of getting stabbed by needles because I've had to deal with that before. But putting pain on other people is something that, if you know me, I cannot do to save my life. So I said, okay, let me see what this HR thing is. And I decided to use my electives to take a class in HR. I walked into that class and I never looked back. That was how I changed my course of study and I became an HR professional. I laugh every day because I enjoy my work. I enjoy what I'm doing. But guess what? That wasn't the only time that I felt stuck. So I was stuck again when I moved back to Nigeria. I was working at a fast-moving consumer goods company. I was practicing HR, so I was happy. But then they told me that, oh, the company in Nigeria is small. So after 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 years, as long as you are performing, you have to move out of the country. I said, I moved back to Nigeria because I wanted to live in Nigeria. I wanted to be with my mommy and my daddy. Had I known what I know now, sure, I would have just stayed there and I would have jeopardized. But that's not the point of the story. And I said, okay, so I'm stuck again because now I'm here. I enjoy my work. I have a clear career path here, but it's not taking me to where I see my future self, because my future self, in my mind at that time, I was supposed to be in Nigeria, living here, happily married with my 3 children, living next door to my parents. And so I started the cycle again. And the reason why I'm telling you these stories, right, is because I'm going to give you the tips that you need to go through how to navigate this path when you feel stuck, right? So you're stuck, now what? I call it my career thermometer, right? And basically what it is, it's a framework that helps you to examine where you are in your career in relation to your life vision at any point in time. And so remember the first part of the story I told you, this is right when I'm starting out, choosing a career, I felt stuck. This was in university. But then I'd chosen the career, I knew what I wanted to do. But in my first job, I felt stuck. And that's why I'm saying that. The reason why I'm sharing this is because this is something that you can use over and over and over again, because life, as we know, is dynamic. So it's a 5-step process. It helps you to tie your sense of self, your identity, with your professional ambitions. And it can actually be applied to all aspects of your life, right? So I call it my career thermometer because it's really focused on that. But you can actually use the same principles if you feel stuck in any other area of your life. So let's get into it. So the first step in the process is reflect. in order for you to move forward, you actually have to slow down. One of my managers at work called it the turtle concept, right? Everyone talks about a turtle and how slow it goes, but it always gets to its destination. So sometimes in this, especially in the world that we're in now, everyone just kind of wants to move fast, but we actually need to slow down to speed up. And it helps us to make the right decisions. And just to say, if you guys have questions, you can start typing them in the Q&A chat box so that we can compile them and I'll answer them at the end. So the first thing you need to do is reflect. So what do I mean by reflect? What are the kind of questions that you want to ask yourself here? And it's pretty much a self-examination exercise, right? So you ask yourself the deep questions like, okay, who is Istio Makoka really? What's important to me? Another kind of tidbit from my career life, when I joined the oil and gas company that I was working in, I was based in Port Harcourt. At the time when I got the offer, I'm like, yeah, Port Harcourt is going to be another city. I can move, there's no issues. But when I moved to Port Harcourt, I was really miserable. And it had nothing to do with the town. It had nothing to do with the work, because like I told you guys, I enjoy what I do. But I was so far away from my family that I was so lonely. Port Harcourt was the first time that I moved away from my parents in my life that I actually used to cry. I mean, I went to boarding school, I went to school abroad. But you see, when I went to school abroad, I went to school with my sister. When I was in the school that I went to, I had a number of my friends from secondary school that were in the same school. So I always felt like I had a sense of home. Port Harcourt was the first time that I felt, wow, like I'm away from everybody. And I realized that for me, from my happiness, my personal happiness was tied to my career happiness. So one of the things I learned about myself with that move was I actually need to make sure that I'm around family or friends wherever it is that I go, right? Another question you can ask yourself is, okay, what do I like to do? What comes easy to me when it comes to work, right? What are the types of things that I enjoy? You also have to ask yourself the hard questions. What don't I like? What do I not want to deal with? You know, there's some people who don't want to see numbers any day in their life. Why then are you trying to struggle to do ICANN or, you know, have an accounting career? Look for things that align to who you are. So then once you then identify, okay, who am I? What are my likes? What are my dislikes? What's the type of person that I want to be in the future? You now need to take some steps and you need to do your own research. Talk to people around you. We all know people. So for example, when I decided that I wanted to move into HR, I actually said, I had never heard about HR until I saw the results in that test. And you guys will actually not believe me. Do you know that my mother was in HR? But I had no clue. Because she worked for a government agency, when people used to ask me growing up, what does your mom do? I used to say she's a civil servant because I never paid attention to what she did. All I know is when I used to go to her office, sometimes she'd be signing papers. But my mother was actually in HR and I had no clue. When I met a friend's dad, the friend's dad was the person who told me that. Oh, what are you studying in school? I said HR. He said, like your mother. I said, no, sir, my mother is a civil servant. Can you imagine how silly I must have looked in that conversation? So you have a responsibility to research. Look for people who are doing what it is that you've now realized that it is you want to do. Talk to them, ask them questions. How did you get started? What kind of opportunities are available? Is there an internship? Can you share work for me so that I can even understand, okay, yes, I want to do this thing, but am I good at it? And look for those sorts of opportunities in the areas that spark your interest. But this really is driven by you, right? And then you need to inspire yourself. I'm a big believer in writing the vision and making it plain. So fill your mind with the future you, right? So I look for people who you say, okay, this is who I'm thinking about shaping my career after. You know, this is the type of things that I want to be able to do. So what podcast will give me that information? What books do I need to read? What articles, what sorts of networks do I need to be associated with? You need these things to inspire yourself because the journey is not that easy. It's actually quite difficult, right? I studied abroad, and when I wanted to start in HR, they don't really have entry-level jobs in HR. So my first job when I was abroad was actually in sales. But that was because I had a conversation with an HR person who said, the first step is getting into the organization. So she said, get into the organization in a responsibility that you know that you can deliver in. But when you get in, start to network. And that was my inspiration. And when the sales days were hard, I kept reminding myself about the vision. I kept reminding myself about what it was that I wanted to do. And eventually I made that shift into HR. And then you have to have a plan. Anybody who fails to plan plans to fail. And that's the truth. But then even when you're creating that plan, you need to be smart about it. What do I mean by smart? Your plan needs to be specific. Your plan needs to be measurable. Your plan needs to be accurate. It has to be relatable, and it has to be time-bound. If we all sit down here today and say, oh, after today's Confidence in Action Summit, I want to be an engineer in Schlumberger. That's a great plan. No, it's not. Because how are you going to get to Schlumberger? Have you identified what you're going to do every day that will bring you closer to that dream of working in Schlumberger? A smarter plan will be, okay, my overall vision is to be an engineer in Schlumberger. In order for me to do that, I will look for 4 people who currently work in Schlumberger. I will search for internship opportunities in Schlumberger. I will look at contract companies that give services to Schlumberger so that I can at least get a foot in to start building the network. That is a smart plan. Of course, you need to give this timelines because that's what pushes you to deliver. And then you know that your goals are relatable, because sometimes trying to add these other elements of making sure that they're measurable, they're accurate, they're relatable, and putting a time to it helps you see that maybe the vision you have is not as realistic as you thought it was. And you go back to the drawing board and start again. And then once you create the plan, is very important. I mean, a lot of us at the beginning of the year, and I used to be very guilty of this, so which is why I'm using the term us, right? We will start the year, we'll do vision boarding session, we'll create all these things that we say that we want to do, and then we roll it up and keep it in our room. And that's the end of it. No, you have to track your progress, which is why if you have a plan that is broken down into daily goals or weekly goals or monthly goals, you then need to set a reminder on your phone, use the tools that you have around you. Put it, even if you don't have a phone that has a reminder, you can buy a calendar in your house, circle it on that day, review plan, and go back and see how am I actually going, how am I hitting the milestones that I set out for myself? What progress am I making? And that way you're able to reevaluate and say, okay, maybe I was a bit too ambitious with this timeline. How can I fix it? And you see, the beauty about all this is once you do this, even if you feel stuck where you are, you start to get energized because you know that where you are is only temporary and it's a stepping stone to where it is that you actually want to be. So now, let's say you've done the work, you follow the career thermometer, you've gone through everything. So, okay, Isioma, what do I do next? What's my next move, right? Start small. No matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter how, how stressed you are, no matter how overwhelmed you feel, start small. You just need to start. And once you start, you've already started making progress to where it is that you want to be. A lot of us take for granted what the benefits of small actions are. There's a book that I read that literally has helped me, and I hope will help you if you find it to buy and read. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about the fact that what actually creates a habit is taking little steps on a daily basis towards your big goal. And you turn around a couple of months, a couple of years later, and you realize that all the progress you made was simply because you started, because you committed, you made a plan, and you followed through. And all of a sudden, the person who you thought you couldn't be is the person who you are. So starting is key. The second thing is to build your personal and professional brand. I'm so glad that the next, as in I almost feel as if maybe they looked at the content when I was, preparing for this and told you guys, okay, we'll start it with this Yoma's talk, and then the next talk will be about the personal and professional brand. But you need to build your personal and professional brand. And this is a lesson that even I have learned, right? It's so easy for us to say, I do good work. I'm just focusing on doing my own work. I'm showing up every day and I'm putting my best foot forward. And that's all. And it's going to get me to where it is that I want to go to. I'm learning myself that that's not always the case. You have a responsibility to showcase the work that you do. Now, I'm not asking you to focus on content and social media and creating an image that is not realistic, because you do need to put in the work, right? But you need to make sure that as you're putting in the work, you're actually also building an associated brand with it. Now, building your personal and professional brand doesn't mean creating a LinkedIn account and writing thoughts and nuggets for the day every day. Building a personal and professional brand actually also speaks to the organization in which you work, right? What kind of person are you known for at work? What kind of person does everybody know that, okay, if they call Isioma, will she deliver? If they call Isioma, and they tell her to handle this project, how will the project be handled? That is your personal brand and that is your professional brand. And the reason why it's important to do it even where you are and even where you're stuck is because we don't know tomorrow. You don't know where the future is. I actually ran into one of my former managers from my FMCG career, and he's currently the HR director at another company. Imagine if I hadn't established my own brand and my personal and professional brand while I was working there. Now that is a contact that I have that if I had looked at him then and said, look at this guy, look at how he's treating me, I'm going to do anything anyhow. But now that's somebody who is calling me and saying, hey, what do you think about this? I want to pick your brain about this because of the way that we work together. So please don't look down at where you are, right? And use that as an opportunity to build your personal and professional brand. I won't go into too much detail since that's what the next is about. And then be deliberate about seeking out mentors and career sponsors. I know that mentoring is a word that is thrown a lot out there. But the truth is, mentoring, if done right, is very impactful. Once I joined Shell, the mentor that I've had since I joined the organization has been very instrumental to me in navigating through a lot of the career changes that I've had. I chose a man as my mentor, not because I wanted somebody particularly from the opposite sex, but that was who I actually aligned with in terms of, okay, this is the type of person that I am. This is where I would like to go to. And this is the person who I felt was going to be most honest with me and give me feedback. Because you see, in seeking out a mentor, there actually needs to be a chemistry match. You both need to like each other. You both need to be able to relate with each other, right? So see picking a mentor, a career sponsor, almost like dating. So you have to say, okay, who is going to be honest with me? Can I be honest with this person? Can I share with this person in confidence? And so you have to actually do that work of going around and trying to see who that right person is, right? But once you find that mentoring relationship, the responsibility is on you to nurture it. The responsibility is on you to continue to build it. Please do not take your mentor as, oh, sir, because that's another reason why a lot of people don't like to mentor in Nigeria. You say, oh, please, I'm looking for you to be my mentor. And then you send a message and you say, please, can you send me credits? Sorry, please, I can't, I need transport money. That's not what the relationship is for. A mentor is specifically about your career and about helping you get to where your goals are. So if you are going to have these relationships, make sure to keep them professional. Make sure to keep them associated to work. Make sure to keep them associated to helping you find the opportunities or give you the information or the insights that you are not able to see right now. So there's some additional resources that I know the team is going to share with you. But I talked about setting SMART goals. So it's a template for setting SMART goals and kind of going more into the specifics of what the acronym means. Writing a CV, because I know everyone always wants to know what a relevant CV should look like. There's some guidance around finding the right mentor. There's an actual template for different types of goals that you can use. And then 9 tips that you can actually use to get unstuck in life and how to build a personal brand. So at this point, I will stop for questions.
Isioma?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. If you have gotten to the where you want people to ask questions. I thought your talk was going to go a bit longer. What we are doing with this is we're giving you the talk time till about 11:45, and then we're going to take questions. So
Okay.
are you, yes, so you can finish your talk and we'll come to that.
Okay, so I finished the talk because I thought I was told I had 40 minutes. So I did it with 1 minute to spare. So we can go ahead to the questions because I feel they'll probably be lengthy.
Then.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question, while it's still being compiled by the team, of course, I think the first thing that I did see, and I'm even interested in knowing myself, is you spoke about a personality test that you did at some point in your before, when you had, I guess, when you were feeling stuck, right? Can you please share with us what test that was and where they can get it?
Okay, so it's actually online, and I'll type it in the chat box once we're done. So it's actually online. So I know everyone has probably heard about Myers-Briggs personality test. So people hear, oh, are you ENFJ or are you, INFJ? So are you an extrovert? Are you, so that same person who came up with that concept has a career element that actually ties your personality to the sorts of careers that actually fit your personality, right? Now, of course, none of these things are actually fact, right? So it's not as if it's a guarantee that if you fill out the personality test, the responses that you get are actually going to now be, because like I said, I was doing environmental engineer, which was on the test, but I was like, hello, this is not going to work for me for where I'm trying to go to. But the second option worked out for me, which was HR. There was also nurse on there, which I know that I couldn't have done. I'm too emotional to, like, I can imagine being in a hospital and then there's a baby crying, like I will be crying, the baby will be crying, the mommy will be crying. Nothing would have gotten done, for example. But that was also one of the recommendations there. So I'll put a link to the test in the chat box before I log off. But that was just something else that was really helpful to me, and it's available online.
Awesome. All right, then let me move to the next question. This person says, please, I've been a stay-at-home mom for 2 years and I wish to resume job searching. My question is, do I include being a mom in my CV for the period or leave it out, which means that she would have a gap of 2 years of being unemployed in her CV? I think that's a very important question.
So for people who have taken career breaks, you just simply put it on your CV as a career break. And then you, in your interview or in your conversation with the company, you then explain that you took a break to focus on your family, and now you're ready to go back to work. The reason why it's important for you to call it out as a career break, and you can actually spell it out to say career break for maternity purposes, right? It's important for you to actually put it on your CV, because if you don't put it on your CV, you're allowing the recruiter or whoever is looking at your CV, the hiring manager, to make assumptions. So they may think, oh, you were looking for a job for 2 years and you couldn't find a job for 2 years. So why were you not employable for those 2 years and now you want to come to work? As opposed to when you clearly put it on your CV that career break for raising a family, and then the person knows, oh, okay, this is somebody who has actually gone, maybe even had her children, is done with her children, and is ready to come back to the workforce. So that's what I would recommend that you do. Okay. And that is actually getting more normal in Nigeria, and it's actually more appealing because people prefer to hire people, which is not good, hire people who have already finished having their children than people who haven't yet gotten married and started having their children. So.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Our next question, the person says, in terms of building your personal brand and career, how do I build that? What are the guidelines? Actually, I think maybe the link to the entire talk that Istio Makoka just gave covers that. So let's go to a different question. Okay. This person says, I have figured out the career path that I do want. However, it is different from my current job, and it's been difficult trying to convince employers in my desired field that I am able to deliver regardless of my previous experience. My question is, how do I demonstrate transferable skills on my CV that would be convincing enough for the recruiter or employer?
Okay. So making a switch in terms of careers is actually one of the harder things to do, especially in Nigeria. So I'll be very upfront with you about that. And that's because recruiters prefer people with a track record within that industry, just to make life easier for them. But is it possible? Yes. So it's going to require a bit more work on your part. So for example, if let's say I'm in communications right now and I'm trying to move to HR, right? One of the things that I would do for myself is, so HR in Nigeria has its own body called CIPM, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. So the first thing that I would do is go and start, joining those network meetings, taking the CIPM exams to become accredited, looking for opportunities where if you're currently still working in your current job in communications, looking for internship opportunities, remote work opportunities, and it may need to be unpaid, trying to make that switch to gain experience in that other industry that you're trying to switch to. So let's say it was to come to the HR example like I gave. You then need to network, right? So which is the importance of having a strong network. Then speaking to other people to say, okay, this is actually what I'm interested in. I haven't worked here before. How do I do it, right? How do I get in? Do you know anyone you can vouch for me in? And then looking at the jobs that exist within that profile and look at the qualities that your current job also gives as well. So if I'm trying to switch from comms to HR, in HR, there's a specific part of HR that has to do with employee engagement and employee relations. You can then now say, okay, how do I word my comms experience in terms of managing, putting together PR briefs, etc., to say, okay, I can actually use this same skill set to sell employee value propositions to employees. So it's actually transferable. So it will require quite a bit of, again, focusing on that research part in the career thermometer of saying, okay, what are the types of skills that are required in where it is that I'm going to? And then looking at your current job, which is something that a lot of us struggle with, to say, let me look at it as more than just what do I do every day, to say what are the skills that I actually need to be a professional here. And then let me see where there's an overlap and then write your CV that way to help you with that transition. But if there's also the potential for like qualifications in where you're trying to move to, courses that you can do, even if it's just the free courses on Udemy or Coursera or LinkedIn, taking that as well. I have a friend who moved from photography and interior design into marketing, and she now works at Maggie. So it's very possible. It takes a bit of time because you have to convince people.
You heard that, right? It is very possible to move from one career to another, but it's very important to be able to navigate those transferable skills. Now, you spoke about having a mentor at Shell. I won't ask who it is, but this person wants to know how she can get through to a mentor and what factors should be considered when getting one. I'm equally asking this because I'm
okay. The question is also for you.
I'm currently on the market for a mentor.
Okay. So looking for a mentor, the first thing that's actually important is this person someone that can take you where you want to go, right? So you can like somebody, but then is that person actually going to take you where you want to go? My recommendation is don't start too far above from where you currently are. Build up your mentors, and you can have several mentors through your career, right? So at the time that I joined, the mentor that I had was 3 levels above me in the organization. So maybe I came in as a graduate, there was a manager, another manager, then him, but there were still layers above him as well, right? Mm-hmm. Now, as I've grown, he's grown. So we've both grown together. So his reach, his network, his expansion has also grown, right? And because he was not so high, I was able to be open with him. I was able to be honest with him. I was able to say, oh, I don't understand why, you know, management said this, because he wasn't like the top management that I was referring to, right? Because we were still close in terms of career. So that's if you're in a structured organization. If you're not in a structured organization and you're then looking for a mentor outside, you have to make sure that, number one, like I said, is if the person actually can take you where it is that you want to go to. You have to see if your personality and the person's personality gels, right? So when you go and you have a conversation with the individual, there's some people who are very open, very chatty, you know, they don't mind. And then you have to actually do some research into the person's reputation. There are a lot of people who masquerade and say, oh, you know, we support young people, or, you know, is women supporting women, or are men trying to bring the youth up? You actually have to do the research into their other mentees, and the information is out there, because again, people share a lot now, Instagram, you know, LinkedIn, and you have to see like, okay, the people who this person has been mentoring, has there been any benefits to that individual, right? What is the person's actual, you know, social reference card, so to speak? And then you start by building a relationship. So if you want to start a relationship with someone who is, you know, maybe not even within your immediate sphere, and you run into the person and you're like, oh, I would like, you know, you can start by offering your services to help by doing work for them. When you do work for them, then the person can now testify to your ability to deliver work. As you start to do work for them, you can then, so you basically offer whatever service it is that, you know, that you do in a professional capacity, please.
Of course.
in a professional capacity, please. And you basically, you know, then say, oh, okay, do you need help with, you know, doing preparations for you? I see you speak a lot. I can offer to help you do your slides, you know, your presentations for speaking. I can help you with your social media. You know, I see that you have a profile, but I feel like there can be a lot more. You can actually do that, right? You can, if you choose to shoot your shot by sending the person a message on LinkedIn or Instagram, please be succinct and please be professional. Don't say hi and leave the message as hi. Even I don't respond to messages where people say hi. But if you, hello, my name is so and so, I would like you to be my mentor. I have chosen you because of XYZ. Would you mind if I could have a conversation with you? A lot of people will not ignore that sort of message. Even if their answer is no, they will, even if their answer is no, more than likely, you have still left an impact in that person's mind because of how you came across. So whichever way it is, again, which goes back to thinking about your personal and your professional brand and how you accept and basically show off yourself to anyone. That's what you have to think about.
So there are definitely a lot of steps that you have to take. A lot of people think, oh, you just find someone and then you send them a message. You have to do a lot of research before you attempt to contact the person in any way. Very, very, very insightful steps that you've given there, Istio. I wish we had more time. So I'm going to try and sneak in 2 more questions before we let you go. Now
you see why I stopped my presentation early.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much. There's so many questions coming in. People are really enjoying this session. When you leave a job because you feel unmotivated or you feel you do more than you are being compensated for, or you do not feel empowered to make decisions, is that you being stuck, or are you ungrateful, you know, that you have a job?
So I wouldn't necessarily say that you're ungrateful that you have a job, but it might not also necessarily be that you're stuck. So the truth is, through your careers, at different points in time, you're not always going to do the exact job that you like. So the current role that I'm actually doing, I didn't want to take, if I'm being very honest. I wanted another role, right? But you have to look at every opportunity that you're presented to in the positive. Your mindset is extremely important. So you have to say, okay, what can I learn from this situation, right? What can I learn out of this? What sorts of skills can I get out of this? And so if you're leaving a job because you feel that there's nothing more that the job has to offer you, then that's great. You're not stuck, you know, you're not being ungrateful. But if you're walking away because you've approached the job and right from the very beginning, you've seen, oh, the salary is not good enough, oh, this is not this, oh, this is not that, then that is being ungrateful. And the reason why I say this is because we know that we work and we operate in Nigeria. A lot of employers do not compensate fairly, right? However, it's important for us to take advantage of where we are. There's some people who are working in organizations where, yes, the managers can and the company can definitely pay them more. But if you think about the networks that that job is affording you to, right? The sort of people that it's giving you access to, you have to ask yourself, am I maximizing the opportunities where I am? Because sometimes it's where you are that takes you where you want to be. There's a guy who used to work with us, and he was a contract staff. And he currently is an expert in Oman, right? Because when he was at work, he didn't see himself as a contract staff. He actually was reaching out to people every day and was saying, how can I learn? How can I mentor? How can I network? So when the Oman opportunity came across, it was all the senior management that were his referees on his CV. And everyone gave such stellar reviews that he is now earning more than everybody that he left in Nigeria, in Oman with his family. So it's really and truly about your mindset and looking and saying, am I maximizing that opportunity? Because again, and that's why if you keep using that career thermometer, granted, where you are might not necessarily be exactly where you want to be, but look at this as a stepping stone, as opposed to, oh, I'm just stuck, right? So you're going to be stuck, but what are you going to do with that stuckness? Staying in it and sticking with this is what leads to you being ungrateful and not learning.
Okay, it's 11:55. We have 5 minutes left with you. I want to sneak in one final question. If you can just answer that in a minute, because I think it's something that affects everybody, including myself. Somebody has asked about how to get inspiration after experiencing a major burnout. And the reason why I'm putting this out there, we live in a country where everything is already stressful. So how do you inspire yourself so that you are the best in your workplace?
Okay, so, and I would just use myself personally. Work is not everything to me, right? So what are you doing with your personal life, right? And your personal life is just as important. So while, yes, we spend most of our time at work and work takes, the responsibility, you have to ask yourself, what feeds your soul? When your soul is fed, you can deal with whatever rubbish that they throw at you in the office. And that's the truth. So for me, again, for myself personally, like I told you, I learned from my move to Port Harcourt that family is important to me. So I build this into my routine that I actually see my family frequently. Anyone who knows me, who goes on my social media, it's full of my family and my friends. That feeds me. I'm a Christian, I'm Catholic, I'm very involved in my faith and in my church. I make sure that I practice my faith actively. That feeds me. So whatever it is that is being thrown at you, you will be able to come out of the burnout. Again, because once you start feeding that, as long as there's something else that is inspiring you and is keeping you going, and that driver is actually our personal life. So a lot of the time, people focus on, oh, my career. But the truth is, your personal life and your professional life are actually intertwined. You can't be happy in your career and miserable in your personal life, and you'll be happy in life in general. And most of the time, if you're happy in your personal life, even if you're not happy in your career, as long as you're really happy in your personal life, you can actually weather the storm. So I would say if you're feeling burnt out, focus on where you can recharge, focus on how you can feed your soul if you can't change jobs immediately or right now. And it will help you to bounce back, and it will help you to build your resilience. And a good community and a good network of friends is always, always key to getting out of that. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your presentation and for answering those questions, Isioma. It was a pleasure learning from you. And as you can see, the audience enjoyed it too. But before I let you go, I want you to please say goodbye and let the audience know where they can connect with you after the summit.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed the session. I'm on Instagram as Istio Makoka. And I'm on LinkedIn, still the same name, Istio Makoka. Let me put a disclaimer. I can't mentor everybody because I know everybody's going to come into my DMs.
Mentor me, please. Mentor me. I'm coming for you.
Saying that you want me to mentor. I can't mentor everybody, but I do respond. I do respond to your questions. I do respond to your queries. But I am a very difficult person. I will ask you if you have done the work, because you need to do the work before you come to me and ask me to do the work. So feel free to reach out, and I look forward to connecting with
right, then thank you so much, Isioma. And of course, I'm sure everybody is going to, try and connect with you in as many ways as possible on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Do enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for giving us these gems. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Bye, guys.
All right, then you can say goodbye to Isioma, of course, in the chat section. Now we're moving on. Oof. If you have enjoyed that, please just give her a round of applause, please, in the chat. Please, I want to see your hands. I want to see those hands. Yeah, I want to see those hands. Yeah, I want to see. Okay, let's move on to our second talk, people. Don't forget that you can tag us at She Leads Africa, at Darling Nigeria as well, to engage with us on social media. You can also use the hashtag CIA Summit NG. That is spelled CIASUMMITNG. Okay, so who is ready for our next presentation? People are not ready. Are you sure? Are you sure they are ready? Okay. Remember, I said that our second topic is doing things. Next up is doing things and telling people. Sorry about that. Now, next up, do things and tell people. Developing your professional brand to land your dream job. Now, this talk is going to be given by Onwamaka Oke-Aguru. Don't forget, I told you that she's the Senior Human Resource Manager at Guinness PLC. Have you ever seen any of those montages in terrible interviews on TV or in movies? Now, picture this. You want to hire someone in an important job, but everyone you interview is either unsuitable or slightly crazy, which has you repeatedly saying next, or don't call us, we'll call you. But eventually, someone perfect comes along, and you say you are hired. Wouldn't you like to be the perfect candidate that gets that job? Well, say no more. Onwamaka is going to teach you how to develop your professional brand and sell yourself as the best candidate for the job. In our initial talk, somebody actually asked the question. She said, I'm very nervous when I go in for interviews. I have an interview phobia. Well, this is about confidence in action. So we're going to cast that phobia out of you during this next talk, okay? But before we begin, of course, I would like to introduce you to Onwamaka and let you know who she is and what she is about, okay? Now, Onwamaka Oke-Aguru is a performance-driven and meticulous HR and business management executive offering over 17 years experience in human resource management, business management, and strategy development. She has rich experience in developing performance-driven teams, people management strategies, and engaging business stakeholders at all levels. She is competent in initiating process and service improvements that boost productivity, cost savings, and efficiency. Can you give a big, warm, She Leads Africa welcome to Onwamaka? I want to see those hands go up in the section. Yes, Onwamaka, it's nice to have you on here. Thank you so much for joining us today. I cannot wait to hear what you have in store for us today. So please take it away.
Thank you so much, Shaito, and thank you. Well done. Well done. It's great to be on this call. It's a great pleasure. Hello, ladies. I would like if people could just put some, comments in the chat. Welcoming everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start off very quickly because I know we must make the best of the next 1 hour or so, or the next 59 minutes. So everyone, as I said, thank you. Thank you for the honor. I will appreciate She Leads Africa for the opportunity, to be part of this summit and to be considered as one of the speakers for this summit. I do not take that opportunity for granted. I also want to recognize Darling Africa us as well for the, changing the narrative and the contributions that they are making towards diversity and inclusion. I'm not going to go into so much of introductions about myself because Sheyiton has already done an excellent job. So thank you so much, Sheyiton. I'm really grateful and I'm honored. To the 380 wonderful, excellent, beautiful women, and I'm sure it appears that there are some men on the scholars as well. I recognize you all, and I thank you for the opportunity to come to listen, to this impactful summit. Now, the topic I've been asked to share is how to position yourself as the best candidate for the job. So let's go very quickly, as we have a lot to cover in such a, short time. I'm not going to go, as I said, into introductions anymore because, of the time we have to cover. But in summary, Sheyiton has said I have 17 years HR experience, and I've had wide industry experience in various multinationals. And, I've also had an opportunity to work in an indigenous organization, a Nigerian organization that also had, Nigerian government involvement. So I've had a view of the spectrum, high, multinational, and also, indigenous organization with different cultures. And that is what has helped to shape me, as a HR professional today. So I'm not going to go into so much of that. What are we going to be doing in the next 39 minutes? So we're first of all going to be speaking about, what is a professional brand. Remember that the objective for this session is to make you that all-rounded candidate, starting from a desire to get a job to getting that job you most desire. So I'm going to be speaking to everything and how it speaks to, all that is required. So we're going to look at how do we craft a professional brand? Why is that important? What, and how do you exactly do? So what is a professional brand? Sorry. Why is it important? Then how do you craft a professional brand? And then how you position yourself as the best person for a job opportunity. So 364 ladies on the call, let's go. The first thing I want to do before we start going into the nitty-gritty of the presentation, I want to introduce someone to you. Her name is Amiza. So Amiza is going to be our case study today. And Amiza represents a number of us on this call. Amiza, I was once an Amiza, and I'm sure some of us may identify ourselves with her. So who is she? Amiza is a young professional. She's from a top-ranking university. While she was in school, if you're Nigerian, we call them the Eficos. She was once in the ISEC Executive Council. So she had already started demonstrating leadership potential from a very, young age in school. She made a second-class honors, so she's intelligent. She's driven and she's result-oriented. She has a flair for writing and she's creative, right? She has also done 2 years. She has 2 years experience in marketing, and she's working in a well-renowned organization. So Amiza is a young, bright, sharp woman who is going into the future. But Amiza has had an experience. She has experienced a bad leadership encounter. And I'm sure some of us on this call, in whether our careers in the office or while we were in school or through family relationships, or some people say, while I was in church doing working on a program, and somebody just speaks to you, or you face an encounter that begins to make you question your abilities, begins to make you feel, lose sight of all that you are, and you're now reeling in the feedback you have received. So Amiza is in that picture. So out of concern, she says, you know what, I need to go see my sponsor. So she goes for a coffee, has a coffee session with her sponsor over the weekend, goes for a coffee break, and they begin to talk. And she says, I know there's so much inside me. I have a lot of potential. How do I translate, what I am feeling, how I am feeling into where I am, my direction? And then her mentor or her sponsor says, Amiza, after all the discussion, says, Amiza, we need to first of all look at how you build your professional brand. And she says, professional brand, please, what does that mean? And that's how the journey starts. So we are ready. We're going to take that journey with Amiza, and we're going to put ourselves in our shoes. For those of us that are in this situation at the moment, excellent. I would like to hear your thoughts. For those of us that have passed through this and have experiences to share, I would also love to learn from you. So but let's start as we go along. So before we start, I would like us in the chat room to please state what we understand right? Oh, somebody's saying I'm speaking to them. So you have been led to this call. So can we begin to type in the chat room? What do we understand by the word brand? Brand. There's no right or wrong answers. So I'm going to type start, driving the discussion. What do I understand by the word brand? I'll say image. Okay, so let's put in, there's no right or wrong anchor. Ladies, you're all very sharp. Brand, what do you, Stone says brand, Ajayi Esther says, Shayston says your brand is what defines you. Adepeju says your brand is your identity. Fola, thank you so much. Aisha Buka, you guys are wonderful women. Are you sure that you're meant to be this session? I should not be on the other side. Your brand is you. Rosaline, thank you so much. So your brand is you. Your brand is your identity. I'm going to, but there's one definition. When I was doing my research regarding this session, that really stuck through, and it was Investopedia. It says your brand is an intangible marketing or business concept that helps people identify a company, product, or an individual. Intangible meaning you can't feel it, you can't touch it, but it's just an essence. So for example, Darlene is supporting us and is doing an excellent job. We all know Darlene produces hair products, right? So you go to, for us in Nigeria, go to Ebano, and you want to really, there's a party this weekend, I just want to look fly. And you go down the aisle and you see, maybe you are, I like conservative black, but there are some of us that like the red, the urbans, the gold, and all of that. And you see one lovely looking urban mix. You are just seeing the thing in the packet, but it has ministered something to you. You already know that when I have this on, I'm just going to really look beautiful. It sets the picture I want to present in this party. So that you just looked at the packet, but there was an essence that came through, right? So that's what a brand is. Now we have talked about brand. Let's talk about professional brand. We have to be very quick because we are going to do so much today. So professional brand, your brand is your profile. It could be online or offline. Brand is that thing that makes you different from the rest. Now, Madoke, you're fantastic. Favor, you are wonderful. And all the other ladies who have been putting in comments, you are excellent ladies. So let us go quickly. We've talked about brand. It says it's intangible, it's your image, it's what defines you. Now, professional brand. Because of time, I will just define it. And I think this is what, this definition for me hit it as I was researching how best do we position this definition. Your professional brand, and this was by Tom Peters. For those of us who know McKinsey 7S framework, so if you did it in your master's, you did it in school, or use it in your office, Tom Peters was one of the people who designed, he was a co-designer for the McKinsey 7S framework. And he says, we are CEOs of our own companies. And the name of that company is Me Incorporated. To be in business today, our most important job is to be the head marketer for the brand called you. So we all have a responsibility. Nobody is going to do it for you. We all have a responsibility to create what identity do we want to create in the marketplace, right? We have that responsibility. The way your CEO in your company, irrespective of where you are, has a responsibility to make sure that your company meets the visions of the organization. You have that responsibility as well to make sure that you project your brand. Okay, so professional brand, let's just talk more around it. It's your story. Somebody had mentioned that as we're going along. It's who you are and what you stand for. It specifies your strengths, what you want to send, what message do you want to send about yourself? Your professional brand sends a message that people remember about you. And there was a note, there's a one line I wrote, which there was a recent promotion I got. And at a time, I also got an award. I didn't even know I was going to get that award. So it was my boss who wrote this herself. And let me tell you what she said. She said, Amaka is a strong and determined achiever who puts her best into everything she takes on, across other things she wrote. And what I saw was that it's been consistent feedback I get, irrespective of who I work with or where I work. Oh, she's very determined. She's a strong achiever. She has, that high drive for results and all of that. So what do people say about you? It's also, forms or what do you want them to project about yourself? It forms your professional brand. The last note I want to stress, it says your professional brand, okay, no, sorry, when we get into the next slide, it isn't here, but it's that also that persona you want to create and all of that. Now, why is it beneficial? So Amiza, remember that Amiza and her boss are sitting at the coffee table, and they're having this discussion. So we're in Amiza's shoes. Some of us have recognized that we're in her shoes, right? So she now says to her sponsor, so yeah. So yeah, what's the benefits? Okay, all this English you have spoken. And she says, your brand creates, your professional brand helps you to control your narrative, the narrative, and show your audience what you want them to see. Your professional brand is like the platform, the stage, empty stage, where you are the main actor. You can then decide, do you know what? Whether when I was in school, I graduated in the 3rd class, or now I am in this organization. My boss keeps on, in fact, his ambition or his mission to let me know I am not good enough, right? Or I am in a personal relationship or something where somebody has just taken it as their special anointing to remind me all the time that I'm not good enough. Guess what? I now have a platform to design and define what my narrative should be. What do I want people to come on me? What do I want the audience to see? So that is the benefit of recreating your professional brand, irrespective of what the history is, right? It helps you to stand out in a field of competitors. If in the open, everybody knows, oh, on LinkedIn, they know this lady is this, she does this, she creates this, she has this blog, or she, you have created that identity. When they are looking for opportunities and they need somebody who has that skill you have, they will not have to start going far. They'll push aside people and go and come and meet you. So, as I said, it is a great platform, irrespective of your history or your story. We're not interested. It is the future for you that your professional brand creates. So, as the last point says, it could be the difference between getting noticed for that exciting career opportunity or being passed over. Sometimes you may have so much potential on your inside. You have a lot to offer. But you now see somebody that you just know that if you guys are on the same pedestal, the person cannot even stand beside you. But the person is getting that offer. Why? Because the person has created some visibility around themselves. So that is what your professional brand, right, does for you. Those are the benefits, and why we all as women, and for the gentlemen on this call as well, right, need to be deliberate about it. So Amiza now asks her sponsor to say, okay, good, you've told me everything. So how do I go about creating my professional brand? Okay. So how do I go about? I just want to check if there were any notes for me. And Shaitan, please, if maybe at the end, because I can't go through all the notes at the time, I would like that maybe some are shared if there are questions as well. Okay, so quickly, so she says, okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean? And then, so her sponsor says, so let's talk about how you can develop your professional brand. Now, for you to develop your professional brand, right, there's a starting point, okay? You first of all have to do what they call your self-discovery assessment. You need to rediscover yourself. Every one of us has some unique thing about us. And at the bottom of this slide, and I'll put it before the end of today's session, right? The link, there's a beautiful document prepared by PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's free, it's online. It helps you. It's a question, process where you can develop your brand, your professional brand. I put it at the bottom of the link. I'll also put it in the link of the chat shortly when I'm done, and you can pick it up and then go and use it at your personal leisure, right? So when you're doing a self-discovery, you ask yourself some pertinent questions, and this document already has those questions. So it's good to use this document. As I said, it's free, it's online. In which areas of work do I excel? We all know what is that good thing about us. For me, let me explain for myself. I love to write. It's very annoying, but it's true. I love to write. I love articulation. I love when it's a presentation. I love, let it just be out there. But I have some colleagues that are more, they prefer working with numbers. They prefer working with charts and the rest. So I have a colleague, I don't know if he's on this call, but I'm going to call his name Joshua. Sometimes we partner. Joshua said, Tamaka, write the English, and then we partner. Of course, I do my charts and all that, but I know when I read something and it's not coming through very strongly, my hands are already itchy. So what are those your strengths? What are those your development? And they don't have to be novel, cerebral, out of this world type of strengths. Oh, I'm somebody that is reliable. You know, I get the job done. I am passionate, right? What are those things people tell you about yourself when they're celebrating you? What are those things you do that just when you're doing it? It's like some people on the other way around. You remember, like when we're in school, there's some people that when they say write an essay, hey, you have killed them. They're like, oh God, or copy. But if you say, give me a design, yes, they will start drawing, you know. So what are those things that come to you naturally? Self-discovery addresses that. Next thing is define what you want to be known for. Remember I said your personal brand now allows you to create your narrative. So I have assessed myself and I've seen that these are the 10 things I am good at. Of these 10, what are those 3 that will move me to my next level that I want to showcase? You don't have to put the 10, it will be overwhelming. What are those 3, right, that I want to showcase? So you do that. You take that down. Okay, now, somebody else, can it affect what you do naturally? Yes, self-discovery. So what are those things that come to you, as I said, naturally? Now, of those 10, what are those 1, 2, 3 that I want to take as my, as my pivot point? Put that down. Then the next question is, who do I want to showcase this thing to? So I'm very articulate, like Amiza. She's very creative. She can write. She's articulate, blah, blah, blah. And maybe she now wants to work with a big advertising agency, because you have to say, this skill I have, where will it be relevant? Can this skill be relevant if I'm a doctor attending to a patient who is going through a medical crisis? The person may not want to know how creative you are and that you can design and draw graphs. The person at this time may want empathy. So where is my skill in my area of profession relevant? So based on that, where is my target audience? For example, if my target audience is a telecommunications organization because they have something that they do that promotes my skill, I know that that's my target audience. So of these 3 telecommunication organizations, which one am I most interested? And how do I begin to navigate my way? How do I visit their site? How do I follow what they do and all of that? Or if my target audience is a person, right? There's this HR director I need to just build a relationship with. What does she say is she active on Instagram? Is she, is she on LinkedIn? Is she on Twitter? What is she doing? Do I follow her feed? Where is my audience? Who are the kind of people that are interested in this thing I have to offer or showcase? Now, learn and follow experts. So as I mentioned, there's some people that have already tread the pathway and have gone ahead of you, have already made the mark. They have made their mistakes, okay? They have, fallen by the wayside and all of that. So the good thing is, where are those people and how can I quickly learn from their mistakes? Read their articles. Do they have articles online? Do they, what is their presence? If maybe they might even having a talk, do you want to go and listen to it and all of that? Do you want to send them an email and just ask them innocently, can I get to meet you? I would like to learn 1 or 2 things from you. So learning at your expert is one important way of, building your professional brand. Now, the 4th step of building your professional brand is, and we have to be bold as women regarding this step, is about setting up informal interviews. So I have seen, for example, that I am interested in, joining an advertising agency. And the head, there's a very strong, the chief advertising director, for example, is the director of media, is somebody that I would like to meet or something, or this organization is where I would like to work in. How do I get an opportunity? The organization is not hiring yet, so they're not interviewing anybody. But you just want to, because you're interested in this organization, you want to know more about this organization, right? How do I get an opportunity to have access to that organization? One way to do that, go to the organization, read the profiles. You will see their leadership structure, their management structure. Go to LinkedIn. Oh, Amaka is their head of HR, for example, right? Who is in Amaka's network that I know? You see a network that knows a network. Don't stalk them, please. But and I'm going to give a very, very practical example around that. There was a time I was interested in an opportunity. There was a senior position in an organization. They advertised it, but they didn't say the name of the organization. But I read the profile and I said, this is me. It was a big organization, a big position, right? So I didn't know the organization I said, but I liked the profile. I didn't know it was like a consulting firm hiring for that organization. But I knew I needed to be in that assessment. I must be there because this is me. So what did I do? I went to the consulting firm's website. I checked the board. I saw somebody there that I knew who knew somebody, right? I tried to even reach that person and the person was still delaying. What did I do? I went to I just typed head of HR, this organization. It came out. I sent the head of HR an email on LinkedIn with a very strong elevator pitch, which I'm going to show you shortly, and all of that. And in the end, the summary is that not only did I get an opportunity to be interviewed, I got the job. It was an interview that started with so many candidates. It took a year. It was very rigorous because it was C-suite, but I got the job. But the only thing was that by the time I got the job, I was already in a fantastic job in my organization. So I turned down the job eventually, because it took a long time. So you set up an informal interview. And these are the kind of things you can. So the informal interview is an informal conversation where you have a job seeker has with a professional working in a particular industry. So for example, you want to go to a telecom suite, maybe Glow. You don't have access to Glow. You're interested in working in their Glow, the people that manage their masts. Okay, but you know that Airtel handles, Etisalat has masts and all of that. And you find a link to somebody who works in that department. You can say, can I have an informal chat with you? It just gives you an understanding of what is the industry expectation around this area. So that by the time you're now ready to go to Glow or wherever, you are positioned well. Okay, so those are how you run if you can arrange an informal interview. And in the informal interview, you must be very deliberate about your questions. So please, we can go online and check what kind of questions can I ask at an informal interview. It's practically you now running the interview. You know that there's no job on the table, but you're just creating a presence. So how did you break into the industry? What steps would I take if you were to make this transition again? What kind of steps would you take? How do you see the industry evolving? Go online. There's a lot of information you can get, easy tips, easy questions you can modify to work for you, okay, and all of that. Now, so you've done your interview or you're about to go for your interview. You now want to set your elevator pitch, right? Or even on your professional website or on your LinkedIn page, you want to create your elevator pitch. So the next thing is now to do your pitch. And I'll be very quick. Your pitch talks about you, and these are the guidelines. Online, there are a lot of information on an elevator pitch. So let me just quickly say, I am Amaka and I am an experienced HR professional. Imagine I had an opportunity to sit with the person. I have strong competence in strategy development, and I recently designed the employee engagement and I&D strategy for a leading multinational organization. You can see my feed on LinkedIn, right? I am enthusiastic about joining your organization because, and this is me now giving a pitch to She Leads Africa, okay? So just see the way I'll toast them. So I'm enthusiastic about joining your organization because I'll support in designing a successful female network and mentoring program for She Leads Africa. I look forward to getting an opportunity to compete for the Africa Diversity Director position in She Leads. So what has the elevator pitch done? It first of all, in 2 paragraphs, has told them the experience you have, right? The impact you have made, what you have done before, right? And what was the result of what you did, okay? Why you are interested in working for them and what you can do for them. So why are you their solution, okay? And all of that. So elevator pitch, online, there are a lot of materials where you can draft your pitch, okay? The same thing is, this is not just only, this happens to also can apply in an organization. So you are currently in an organization, you are looking for a higher position, you want to move from marketing to engineering, you want to move to HR, you want to be in the strategy team, you want to have an opportunity to meet with the strategy director, you are targeting him at the canteen. Draft your pitch, rehearse your pitch, stand in front of the mirror, rehearse it, so that when you have that opportunity, you enter and deliver your pitch, okay? So let's go back. So elevator pitch is important. Embrace networking. you cannot be hidden under a stone and expect that you will rise. It will not happen. The stone will cover you. And I use myself as an example very quickly. At a time in my career, I used to just I don't like, I like to be in the background. I don't want too much noise around me. I don't want to be in people's faces. I'm always up, and I think maybe because of the way I was brought up, my parents always said, your work will speak for you. So I didn't feel I needed to go out and start, being a sycophant. I just felt, it didn't get down naturally with me. But I now noticed that I was not visible. So opportunities will come where somebody that I know I am much more experienced, we just get it. So some time ago, right, especially at COVID, I changed organizations. As you know, I'm in Diageo today. And I had just joined Diageo. I was just like 3 months into Diageo, and then we went COVID, lockdown. So no opportunity to showcase myself and all of that. For that, the opportunity for that reduced. So very quickly, what did I do? The company came out and said they needed to run 13 projects, strategic projects. And those projects you have to present to our leadership, that's our executive leadership, every month. This is us sitting at home. I don't know how it happened. I just raised my hand. I said, I want to lead one. When I was raising my hand, I was afraid because I didn't know how I was going to do it. We're all working at home. To get people physically in the office to deliver on things are difficult. Now, talk less of all of us at home. But the summary is that created an amazing level of visibility for me. And now, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you see the kind of projects I've led, both in Nigeria, in Africa as well. And, I got recently promoted, all of that. And it's in that history today. So now today, there are a number of key projects I'm leading. There's one that just happened recently. And obviously, when they said, who is going to lead it? I and one lady were chosen. Amaka, you are leading us to this direction. In fact, what I came up with is now used as the tagline, and so I'm so proud of myself. But if you leave me, I will stay in my rooms, close the windows, and just enjoy my Netflix peacefully, So you have to break out, come out of your comfort zone. You cannot, and women are guilty of it. We must be confident to showcase ourselves. Okay, so build your online presence. So how do you build your online presence? I'll go very quickly. We've gone through informal interviews. We've done elevator pitch, build your online presence. Why do you even need to build your online presence? This was what they were telling Amisa. Because 97% of recruiters, if you're not on LinkedIn or any of the social media sites, and you are looking for an opportunity, a job, you are deceiving yourself. So 97% of recruiters, based on research, leverage social media to find high quality candidates. I'm a HR person. When we're looking for good quality candidates, we go to various platforms to search for good candidates. And we check, what is that candidate's history? What on Facebook, what kind of personality are you, right? So, and then of these 97% recruiters, 87% of them use LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn or you don't have a compelling platform on LinkedIn, you are part of the problem, right? Go back and redesign your LinkedIn platform. I would say I was invited for this session through LinkedIn. I don't know anybody in any of the organizers, but it was through my profile. I was invited. So there's an opportunity for you. Be active on LinkedIn, follow people, make comments, recognize people, create that. Then sometimes send in personal stories, share your career story, articles and all of that. Just create some form of, let people notice you. Okay. So be visible, participate. I've already talked about that. What are the industry terms? Then when you are creating your profile, right? What are those terms that they like to hear, depending on your industry? So if you're in the corporate world and you're at C-suite level, you're management level, they like to hear strategy and all that. Make sure you put those things, decorate your profile with all of those words. Don't lie, let it be sincere. The reason being that when a recruiter is searching, sometimes they use keywords. If you're going to write too long story, that does not. So what are those key strategic words? Decorate it in your profile. So when they do control find, when they say strategy development, your name will come out, So those things are important. And please, your profile must be, no spelling mistakes. Another thing is 14, when they looked at data. A recruiter. So some of you that say, I don't want to put my picture so that my enemies will not chase me, and all of that. Please, don't be your enemy to yourself. Please, can you take a nice, beautiful, professional headshot and go and change your LinkedIn profile? Go to the studio, go and look nice, look like the kind of role you want to walk into. Because they say professional headshot receives 14 times more profile reviews than those without. So let your identity be there. It's all about creating your brand. So Amiza got all this information, and guess what happened? Professional brand, check, she had designed it. She had built now good networks and connections. So this is how she's doing so far, right? She has online presence, is strong, confident, she's fulfilled, and then she has great career prospects. So Amiza is now, as you can see, she's so excited, she's smiling, she's having a cup of coffee, just reeling in the glory, and success she's achieving. But she then thinks to herself, okay, I have all of this, and now I have been invited for a big interview in a massive organization. Darling has invited me for a director position. And from marketing executive, they want me to come as a senior director or manager in Darling. So what do I do? How do I pitch myself? So she's thinking. So let's go very quickly to answer Amiza's question. How do you stand out in an interview process? I'm going to be very fast. I sit on interview panels, and sometimes I just want to cry. In some instances, I know the candidate sitting on the other side, but I am the interviewer. What makes me feel so sad is that the candidate I know has a lot of potential, a lot, but the candidate has failed to demonstrate it. And based on that, I see another candidate that may not be as qualified or as, but came there and did an excellent delivery, get the opportunity. Sometimes it makes my heart bleed. So what are those 4 things that need to make you stand out? Apart from the regular dress professionally, come on time, all those, those regular things. Do research about the company. You cannot just be going to go and take an interview in Darling and you don't even know anything about Darling. You don't know anything, you don't know anything. It makes you lose credibility. So research about the company, research about the job. So they are looking for media executive, Darling. Find out who works in Darling. What is the role of the media executive? They put it. What are the challenges in the media space in Darling? Because when you are coming for an interview, the interviewer is looking for a solution. The person is not looking for somebody to come and contribute to their problems. They are looking for somebody that will unlock the problems of the organization. So what are the problems in the media space in Darling that I can be a solution to? So structure your responses. We'll do that very quickly. I'm going to show you how to do that. Your responses, in every response you are giving. Sorry, another quick thing I want to say. In understanding the research of the company, I want to give you a very quick secret. Most companies, when they are assessing candidates, whether internally or externally, they want to always know, especially for thinking organization, does this person have the profile, the leadership profile of the values of this company? So go and study the values. Your questions will be around there most of the time. Your question will also be around what the leadership profiles are. You must have your answers. Okay, they want to say strategic thinking. When have I shown strategic thinking? Even if it was when I was in secondary school. When have I shown result orientation? Don't go to the interview. Go to the interview like somebody that is going to go and act a drama. You've rehearsed your script. You understand this next step. And you already know that my questions will come around because every company wants to hire somebody that demonstrates their, aligns to their values. So let your responses, prepare your responses before time, right? And your responses should be based on what you've researched already. Remember, you've researched the company, all about the company. You've researched their values. You have said, how can I demonstrate these values? You've also going to ask, what are the problems or opportunities in this role that they are trying to hire? Well, how can I solve them? So that your responses will be rich, right? Then, as I said, demonstrate solution orientation. Don't come there and just bring problems. Come with solutions. And don't come there, why do you want to leave your job? Because my former boss is just a devil. No. Why do you want to I love the organization I'm working in, but I believe that I can expand my opportunity, my career, the career growth opportunities here. I believe I can bring my experience to bear, speak around the positives. Then ask unique questions. Please don't go to the interview and they say, do you have any question for us? No, come on. So as you are researching about the industry, be writing what you think would be a good question. Online, there are a lot of examples of good questions. Now, how do you answer an interview question? I have a challenge when we get to interviews. You ask a candidate a question, and I'm going to quickly show you respond to an interview question for you. You must please use this format. It's called the STAR model. It's very basic, but please take it down, go online, write it down, STAR model. For those of us who know it, fantastic. Those of us who don't know it, please know it. When you go for an interview, you must answer with the STAR model. What does the STAR model say? It says you first of all start with a situation. You describe the event or the situation that you were in. The next thing is to say what was the task you were to deliver. Explain the task you had to complete. Then the results you were achieved as a result of that. And then what were the next actions? What action did you take? I will not go into all the sub questions. I want to just quickly give you an example so that we can, because of time, I know I'm almost behind time. So STAR, let us use a simple interview question. So Amiza has now sat in the interview room. And then the interviewer asks her, he says, Amiza, tell me about a time you showed initiative on the job. So remember, we're talking about situation. What was the situation? You start with a situation. Last year, at a time, while I was in secondary school, while I was in the university, while I was managing this post, give a period, right? Last year, my line manager resigned while we were about to organize a graduate career fair. So what was the task? Although I had, so you must, the question is around showing initiative. So showing initiative means you are taking on your ability to take on responsibilities, ability, to think outside the box, to be proactive. Don't now answer it in a way that it looked like they were telling you what to do. So although I had no prior experience in organizing such events, I offered to lead the delivery of a successful career fair. You've already shown that you took on the initiative, you took it on, you were not afraid. Now, what action did you take? As a first step, interviewers want to see your channel of thinking, right? They want to see that you have a strength in problem solving. You have identified the problem. You now know first what is the root cause of the problem. And then how do you navigate to the solution? Don't just go and say, that's how we now came and then I achieved it. Then when they start asking you deep questions, know that you just answered surface answers. So what was the action you took? As a first step, I sought to understand the company's expectations of a successful career event. Remember that the person had never done it before. So the first thing they went to find out, what is a career? What does the company call a successful career event? I engaged other managers who had delivered similar events. Then I constituted a project team showing leadership. Remember that it was her line manager that left, and then she stepped in quickly into her line manager's shoes. I considered a project team together and we developed a project plan with milestones, meaning structure. You are showing that you have the ability to think in a structured way and to set targets for yourself. Remember that you're working with a project, so your answer must be deliberate. Don't just give any answer. Guiding the team, we allocated responsibilities. So you are a team player. See, they asked you about initiative. You have started showing different sides about yourself. So we allocated responsibilities and held regular follow-up meetings to share progress updates. You are following through. You are methodological in your process. You are not disorganized. You are demonstrating that in your response. I celebrated team members who achieved milestones. You celebrate success. You are not one person that just takes it on your own, all to yourself. So although you came up with the initiative, you still were able to pull two people together and let them to deliver. And then you must end with the result. What was the impact? The team, through my support, delivered a successful career fair and received an award. Can you see there was a result? Then we also recorded a 20% increase in participation rates and 40% increase in top graduate hires from the fair. I'm going to say something very quickly for those of us who may say, I don't have this kind of story. The first one of the I worked in British American Tobacco. That was the first multinational I worked in. I started off from banking, but it was very, very short. I always wanted to work in BAT when BAT came out because they were just an excellent organization with beautiful, policies. Guess what got me the job in BAT? It was what I did in secondary school. So please, let's go down memory lane. What you did in church, in the mosque, in your social club, if you present it and demonstrate that through this experience, I'm able to show you I have the competence that is required. You are considered. Okay, so I needed to quickly dump this in. I know it was outside my brief, but it's a whole package. So typically, because I know some of us want to work in big organizations, most organizations that are big, are good multinationals, the United Nations and the rest. If you do an interview, they will still may call you into an assessment center. So for some of us who don't know what an assessment center is, it is like a session or a center, a class where you go through various exercises. The objective of this is to tease out what a regular interview may not tease out from a candidate. So regular interview is question, answer, question, answer. Assessment center, they look at your analytical thinking. They more or less create, a day in the life of that organization for you, where they see you demonstrating whether you have the competence or not to work in that organization. So various exercises, you do case studies, intros, and all of that. Even in this time where we are still working virtually for some of us, there are still virtual assessment centers, so it also hasn't changed. But what is important is that they want to see your analytical thinking, they want to know your commercial awareness, communication skills, and all of that. They want to see your creativity, decision making. The truth is that sometimes assessment centers don't have right or wrong answers. It's just about how you demonstrate, your confidence and intelligence in the session. So lastly, what are the things how can you succeed in an assessment center? Because yes, you have done your interview, you've answered the question well, blah, blah, blah. How do you succeed in an assessment center? You must, first of all, similar to the interview, go and understand the job expectations. Because most of the time, the questions may still relate to the job, but at a very strategic level. Sometimes an organization will just want to see whether you're a good fit for the business. So go and do back what I said. We said the business, understand the business, go online. What are the challenges of this business? Look at their performance, recent performance. What are their celebrations? All of that. Then so before you go for an assessment center, familiarize yourself. There are a lot of online free assessment centers. Go online, participate in one, test yourself. How do you do case studies and all that? Get your family to give you feedback. If you don't have anybody to give you feedback, like how I was when I was young and just starting my career, my mirror is my family member. Okay, so when you are presenting to yourself in the mirror and standing in front of a mirror, you will know when you're telling yourself a lie. You will know when you are passing a message across. So don't think that, oh, I will look like, this looks strange. Present to yourself, talk to yourself, anticipate what questions, and anticipate how you respond to it and all of that. Then very quickly, please, for assessment centers, I see this a lot with some candidates, okay? This is my last slide, sorry, Shaito. I'm wrapping up. With some candidates, please, make sure before you go into these sessions, assessment center, you understand different analytical tools. Go and learn what a SWOT is, a PESTEL is. Because when they ask you a question, some assessors want to see your ability to think strategically. And these tools help you to analyze questions in a strategic manner, be structured and all of that. So I think I've spoken to, end to end, from when you are a desirable candidate all the way to, what will make you become that selected and chosen candidate. At the end of the day, this is how Amiza ended. This was Amila's body language and her frame by the time she was done going through all that I have shared today. So I'm hopeful that this would also be someone's success story. Thank you so much, Shaitan.
Thank you so much, Joamaka. And I hope that all the beautiful women watching on here today will end with a smile like Amina?
Amiza.
A-M-I-Z-A,
Amiza.
Amiza did. But let's go straight into the question and answer segment because we have so many questions for you, Amaka, and I'm hoping that we can take as many as we can before you have to go. Now, this person says that how can an introverted person who has always played behind the scenes become comfortable in leveraging herself to become visible and communicate efficiently in order to be understood?
Okay, okay. So first of all, as I mentioned, you have to recognize, right? It might not be your desired personality type, right? But when you understand that there's a benefit around, being a bit more visible, when you see it from the position of a benefit, it helps you, to begin to build some comfort around it. Now, so what do you do? As I mentioned, okay, if, for example, you are in an organization or in a platform where there are opportunities, so you're either joining a group or taking on a project, you can say, do you know what? I may start with small steps. I joined this project, but I don't want to lead yet. I just want to be in that comfort of working with other people, right? So I'll say take small steps and then build your level to your level of comfort, right? So you can start off with a project, participate in smaller groups where you feel comfortable to express yourself. By the time you begin to demonstrate that competence, even the people in that project will believe in the credibility you have. Then one day you take on you take on a hard decision to say, okay, the next time this project team are going to present, I am going to offer to do the presentation. You will see that as you do that over time, yes, it may not be your natural personality type, but you begin to build some level of comfort around it. So I think the summary is take little steps, and see how that evolves.
Okay, this second question is almost like a subset of what you've just answered, but I think this is important because a lot of people have this inferiority. She says, LinkedIn sometimes seems like a place where people showcase their professional success. For someone who is still trying to find their footing professionally, what exactly do I use as content on my LinkedIn page?
Okay, so you're trying to find your foot professionally, but I'll believe that you have at least you studied in a school, you've done an undergraduate, maybe you have a master's degree, maybe you have some form of certification, right? So first of all, be very quick to project the competence or skill you have, right? And then the one thing you can do is also state in your profile, talk through what are the things you have either done previously or you have the capacity to do. So I am somebody that is creative, and if given the opportunity, I can blah, 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 blah. Okay, so pull back, as I mentioned previously, pull back to your history. It may not only about what you've done in the career space. It may have been what you've done in other spaces, but how you craft it. Even if it was that I was leading my church, but you demonstrated leadership. So as I was saying, I was the chief chorister. It's okay, I've led a team of 15 young women in developing the blah, 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 blah. So leverage into your history and then project what you can do based on the experience you have into the future. So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, the next question I have for you, person says, what is the difference between a cover letter and an elevator pitch? So how can she differentiate between these two?
So a cover letter is just, your standard application letter. You're applying for a job and then you are indicating an interest in that job. Yes, you can also leverage a corporate cover letter to elevate yourself, use it as a pitch to demonstrate the skills you have, okay? But what differentiates a cover letter from an elevator pitch is at an elevator pitch is an opportunity you then have with an individual to sell yourself, to sell the competence or the experiences you have. So while a cover letter is just written, an elevator pitch is spoken, right? So you draft your elevator pitch, understand it, and then use it when you have an opportunity to discuss, with people.
Okay, thank you so much, Ramaka. You're doing so amazing answering these questions in record time. The next question here says, how do I refresh my brand, especially if I was sacked from a previous job and the
Okay.
recruiter is asking for references. This is a tricky one because you don't want your current employer to call your former employer. How do we handle such a situation?
My dear, whoever asked the question, I think for me, integrity is still key. So if you have left a previous organization, right, and you have made a mistake in that organization, and you have learned from your mistake in that organization, right? If you get to the position where you have to engage, you can share your mistake, but don't share it from a position of, oh, I did this, it was so, in fact, I was terrible and blah, blah, blah. You can share to say, this is what I learned, and this is what I took from my learnings, and this is how I have adopted what I have learned to achieve this good. Sometimes in interview questions, they usually would ask, have you ever failed before? Because we are dealing with we are humans. Sometimes our failures can be anywhere. Our failures can be in our career or it can be in our personal life. What differentiates us is the ability to rise above your failure and translate it to your success story. So no one would want to just say, okay, because this person did this, it's how you present it. If you go and shroud or do not present it in a truthful way, it further dampens your opportunity because they say, indeed, this person lacks integrity. So share your experience. I say, I learned from it, right? And this is what I did with what I learned from it. And I've had a personal experience around that as well before.
Thank you. So what I'm getting from that is integrity is key.
Yes.
Your failures are not necessarily what define you.
Yes, they
By
don't
putting
define
that forward, you give your future employer a chance to know what's happened in the past and take a chance on you. Now, this person says, a lot of us are uncomfortable asking for help because it seems really one-sided. I think this person is talking about a mentor. Now, if you're asking someone to mentor you and you're not giving anything back in return, how do you ensure that it's a symbiotic relationship?
Okay, so this is the mentee now asking, or this is a mentor asking?
This is the mentee asking how to, because I think what person is trying to say is that sometimes it feels like you're taking and you're taking and you're taking from your mentor.
Okay.
How do you, contribute, and how do you make yourself a valuable asset to your mentor as
okay,
well?
Cool. Okay, cool. So the first thing is, of course, you are gaining lessons from your mentor based on the experience that they've had. Okay. Now you're setting objectives for yourself based on what you've learned from your mentor, and you're putting those objectives to practice. One way to give back to your mentor is to say, do you know what? These are the things I have learned from the things you have taught me. Can I support you in this or this or this, outcome? So for example, your mentor is, maybe she's strong in public speaking, right? And you feel she has taught you and taught you. You can offer, oh, you have a public role or a public speaking event in so time. Based on the things you've taught me, can I help you maybe with your research? Can I help you with your script? Can I help you and all of that? With maybe creating that noise or voice you want. Can I leverage, for example, maybe I have a strong followership virtually. Can I help you to create the awareness of what you want to do, leveraging on my followership? So there are ways for you to give back. Just look for the opportunity to give back.
Thank you so much, Nwamaka. You've done fantastic today. Really, you have. Thank you for everyone who's shared questions, and of course for you sharing your insights with the audience. It's been a pleasure learning from you today. And now I'll let you say goodbye to the audience and let them know where they can connect with you after the summit.
Okay, excellent. So it was a great opportunity to, as I mentioned, to have been given the platform to share today in the Confidence in Action Summit. So back again, I want to say a big thank you for this opportunity to share my story. For my audience, I'm really grateful. I've seen a lot of comments coming through and all of us. I'm really honored and humbled, right, that I've been able to inspire people today. I will say to my audience, please do not give up, right? we all have our stories. We all have our stories. So let us leverage our stories as great stepping stones into the future we want to see for ourselves. Do not let anything, let you down. Whatever stories you have from the past, pick out from those stories and just see what are those things I can do to transit my story, as negative as it may want to be, into my stepping stone to future success. So that's me.
Please
That's
don't
so.
forget to let us know where we can find you
Okay,
on. Yes.
please find me on LinkedIn. Please find me on LinkedIn. You can send me a private mail. Tell me you were on the session, and then you can then follow me on LinkedIn, and I can also accept your offer for it. So yeah.
All right, then thank you again, Nwamaka. Do enjoy the rest of your day. We really appreciate having you on here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right, then. Everybody say bye to Nwamaka. Make sure you give her a rounding applause in the chat section. But now we are moving on to our last but not the least speaker today, who is ready for the keynote speech. Go keynote, go keynote. It's time for the keynote speech. All right. Everyone's career will hit turbulence at some point. Remember last week we spoke about what you need to do when your career hits turbulence. Now, raise your hand if you have ever faced a significant challenge in your career or life in general. Can I see those hands? Can I see those hands? I'm looking, I'm checking. Okay. You see, it is not always easy to overcome those challenges. And at your toughest, one might be staying resilient and responding positively to the obstacles in your way. Now, in our keynote speech, Dr. Chini Ogunro will talk to you about how to overcome challenges that you face during your career and how to use those experiences to fuel your personal and professional growth. Now, allow me to introduce you to Dr. Chini and we'll get started. Are you ready? Are you ready? I wish there was a way that you could send in your drum rolls, but I'll just continue. Now, Dr. Chini is a senior director at Broadreach Group, responsible for technology implementation and operational excellence. She's the founder of Company Is You, a professional development educational technology firm that prepares individuals and companies for the future of work. Previously, she was the Chief Executive Officer at Wellspring Health, an Africa-focused integrated care consortium backed by DIA, committed to delivering quality, affordable healthcare at scale. Chini is also a founder of Africa Health Holdings, a healthcare investment and operations company in which she raised over $13 million. Hey, not Naira, okay? $13 million in investor funding for AHH, which was born out of her doctoral research and her first company, CarePoint Hospitals and Clinics. Now, she was selected as a young global leader and Dangote Fellow by the World Economic Forum in 2020. Chini also currently serves as the Director of Health Research at the Center for the Study of the Economies of Africa, where her research has explored innovative business models for healthcare delivery in growth economies, particularly sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. Her work in healthcare operations has delivered high quality, low-cost healthcare to over 40,000 patients across West Africa and India. Her research has received over $700,000 in direct support from organizations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the World Bank. Chini is an advisory board member at Growth Capital, the private equity fund arm of CC Hub, a steering committee member of the Africa Leadership Academy's Health Network, serves on the leadership committee of MIT Solve, and is frequently a guest lecturer at top international business schools. Well, she's going to be talking to us today. She has previously worked at Morgan Stanley, Verilon Partners, and provided long-term consultancy for the Nigerian Federal Ministry of Health, the UN Special Envoy for Malaria, as well as multiple other development and partner organizations. She holds a PhD in health management, technology and operations management strategy from the Harvard Business School, MA in health administration from Cornell University, and bachelor's degrees from Stanford University. Oh my goodness, Chini, it is a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you so much for being a part of this Confidence in Action Summit. I am a huge fan of your work, and I cannot wait to hear what you have in store for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Me, even listening to myself, I was like, who is that person? That sounds...
You've done a lot. You've done a lot. You have to tap yourself on the back sometimes.
Thank you. Let me give myself a pat. And I hope you're all patting yourselves on the back at home. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the warm welcome. I am so glad to be here. I'm honored to be here. I hope you are all as energetic as I am, because I'm quite an energy-filled person. It's 7 a.m. I've been up since about 4, but we're still going to do this. Now, I like what I'm seeing in the chat room. I see you in the chat room. I'm going to be monitoring the chats. I'm going to be looking at the Q&A. If you haven't taken a few seconds to at least just get up and stretch, take some seconds, stretch, move your body, just feel a little bit of energy right now, because we're going to be talking. We're going to be, yes, we're going to be doing it. So are you ready to go? Are we ready to talk? Now, I know that throughout the day, we've talked about confidence. We've talked about boosting our personal brands. We've talked about a number of different things. But with the highs also come the lows. And what I'm going to be talking about today is some of the lows. What do you do when you get rejected? What do you do when you feel like an absolute complete failure? What do you do exactly when things don't go your way? So I'm going to start sharing my PowerPoint, my screen. I love slides. So I'm just going to take you through some of my slides. If you can see my screen, just show me in the chat room that you're able to see the screen, just a few yeses, and I will be able to move forward. If you can't at any point in time see anything, please do let me know and just interject, and I'll be able to go back and make sure that we're walking through everything. Okay, are we ready to go? I hope we're ready to go. Let's continue going. Bouncing back from rejection. By now, I'm sure that you've heard stories about all of these different phenomenal failure to successes. All these people who have been like, oh, I wasn't the worst of times, but now I am the most successful person. I am up there with all the millionaires and billionaires. There's Michael Jordan. I hope you've heard of Michael Jordan, the basketball player. He was actually cut from his high school team. And ultimately, even though he was rejected early on, he worked and became the greatest player of all time. There's Oprah Winfrey, who was actually demoted and I believe fired from one of her early positions in her 20s, only to become the media mogul, the Oprah that we see today. There's J.K. Rowling, who was a single mother on welfare, not even living from check to check, but having to get money from the government in order to just eat, she and her children. She was turned down by 12 publishers before she hit it big with the Harry Potter series. Even Bill Gates, the Bill Gates that we know, his first company failed before Microsoft eventually became a success. Failure is part of success. If you're not failing, it means you're actually not anywhere close to your own potential. It means that you're playing at a much lower, much easier level than what you are truly capable of. But what separates those who learn from their failures and actually become successful from everybody else? What is that defining factor that takes you from, I've been rejected, I have failed, and I'm just going to sit in my rejection, versus those who learn from their mistakes, those who learn from the rejections and move on to become even greater successes? Now, a lot of people will tell you that there are many things that you can do about failure, like you need to create a journal in order to write down what you have learned, or you need to develop a daily routine where you're waking up at 4 a.m. every day, or you only answer your email in 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evenings so that the rest of the time you can focus on being productive. These are all productivity activities. These are not getting to the mindset. the thoughts, the daily thoughts and ideas that are actually driving your behavior. So today, I want to propose to you that there are 3 key mindset differences that separate success after failure from just existing when you encounter failure. We're going to talk about first, creating and shaping more than one career identity. Creating and shaping more than one career identity is something that people who are learning from their learning from their failure and moving into success are able to do very well. We're going to talk about being entrenched in truth and possibilities, even if you're pushing things to the limits, meaning entrenched in reality, but constantly knowing that your possibilities are far greater than anything you may even be able to just see with your eyes. And lastly, to learn and relearn as if your life depended on it. People who are able to go from rejection, from failure, and ultimately achieve their highest level of success are able to do these 3 particular things. Okay, are we ready to talk about these things? I hope you're gingered. I hope you're ready. Because first, in order for us to know failure, let's even first define success. And I want us to start about thinking through what is your ultimate goal. And by ultimate goal, I mean, what is that thing you tell yourself that if you have done this one thing, if you achieve this one thing, you will be successful. Your parents will see you as a success. Your family will see you as a success. Your friends will see you as a success. Your enemies, you'll just be showing them pepper. Everybody will know that you're successful. What is that one thing that in your mind right now is your ultimate goal? How are you defining success for yourself? So I want you to think about that and to keep that thing in your mind. And as you're thinking, let me at least give you an idea of what my success model has looked like in the past. So typically for most of us, we start our childhood, and when you're a child, you think about all the different possibilities. Maybe you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an astronaut. Maybe you want to be the most successful entrepreneur. In childhood, the possibilities are limitless. But then you get into early schooling, and that's schooling, that level of education, that competitive education, it begins to start. You're thinking through, okay, in primary school and secondary school, how do I get myself to the next level of school in the top schools? And for me, when I was young, when I was in my teenage years, I thought that success meant getting into a top university. I would be at one of the best schools in the world. And I did, I achieved that. And then after I got into the best school, I said, okay, next up, what about the top grad school? And even after that, it doesn't stop. I wanted to get to the next level. Okay, what do I want to do in my early career? And what do I want to learn that will help me define myself as a success, or at least be seen as a success by everybody around me? And then the next level, how do I create and shape my own organization? Because that's what I believed success to be. And ultimately, how am I leading my company to make a big impact in the world? I wanted to have my own company that's able to be impactful in the lives of many people, but while also making a lot of money. So there's always this idea in our mind of what that successful end state looks like as you go from level to level and you create your own ideas and definitions of success. But if you are asking many world-leading entrepreneurs, many celebrities, many athletes, many musicians, you'll find that for them, success isn't just one thing. Success is ever changing. It's a moving post that often means a change in how you view yourself at each different stage. So let's talk about my moving post and what success has meant for me, again, as you think about your own. So in this picture, you're seeing me. This is me in a large hospital in Bangalore, India. While I was still a student, while I was a graduate student at the Harvard Business School, I decided I wanted to get some real world experience. So I took it on myself and I found a sponsor who was able to take me to do research in India. One of the professors, there was a large Indian hospital, Narayana Hrujale, out in Bangalore. And that's me. I watched about 1,000 different cardiac operations across 10 different operating theaters every single day. From 3 a.m. in the morning until maybe 1 p.m. in the afternoon, I was watching cardiac hospitals. And that was me learning that early stage of what do I need to make sure that I'm paving the way for success. In this next picture, this is one of the very first hospitals, or next to one of the very first hospitals in Lagos, because again, I wanted to create and lead my own organization. As I was founding CarePoint Hospitals and Clinics, that's my very first hire, Dr. Jide. We went one by one to nearly every single hospital in Abuja and Lagos. I was in Egbeda, I was in Ojo, I was in Alimosho, I was everywhere. Every single hospital. This is, it's not glamorous. It's not glamorous, but it's work that has to be done. Getting the right information, getting the right connections, getting the right knowledge, because it felt that if I was to be able to operate hospitals and clinics as effectively, delivering the best care at the lowest possible price, I needed to know it in and out. So moving on, I actually achieved my goal. I raised the money, I opened the company, I put together the office while I was pregnant. I'm pregnant in this picture. I had a full staff of people across 3 different countries, and everything seemed to be going so well. I was on top of the world. But my question to you is, what do you do when everything you have worked towards vanishes in the blink of an eye? What do you do when every single thing you have put your education towards, everything you put your effort towards, everything you even shaped your family and personal life towards, everything that's identified with you, that you have used to shape your identity, at least your work identity, is gone overnight? I had a terrible, terrible character and a business partner, somebody who had coveted my knowledge, my skills, my entrepreneurship, and essentially used me and was able to successfully snake his way into taking over what I had grown. Everything I worked for, 7 years of my education and dissertation, gone in an instant because somebody wanted to take what I had built. What do you do when what you have built, what you have worked towards, what you define yourself as, is taken away from you and gone overnight? You go from being a success to feeling like a complete and utter failure. How do you come back from that? How do you even accept that is happening? Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the things that have shaped me every time I have faced failure or faced rejection, and even in instances of feeling like the ultimate failure. And it's not just me. I want you to go back and ask any successful person how it is that they have come back from their deepest, darkest pits and talk about how they define themselves success. 1, to my advantage, I hadn't only been doing one thing that entire time. I had always looked at myself as having 3 different aspects to my career. 1, yes, I was building a healthcare conglomerate, a healthcare corporation. I was focused on technology and operations management for healthcare across low and middle income countries. And that's what I was building with my company. But luckily, that was only one of my career identities. Would you know that 3 days later, after my company was taken from me, I was on a plane back to India, given a talk, a speech that was paid for in front of thousands of people at a conference on another part of my career. I'm also a healthcare researcher. Like was mentioned, I'm a researcher at a think tank. I'm the director of healthcare research. And it's not exactly the same thing. It's a different arm. I focused on research, and I had been building that identity along the same ways. I wasn't focused on it or giving it the same amount of attention, but I was building that identity. At the same time, some of you may know me from social media. I was also building the identity of social media, sharing professional information, sharing career information, because it's just something I cared about. I was posting my little posts. I was sharing my little information. I was getting some brand partnerships. So it wasn't just that my entire identity was wrapped up in being a healthcare operator. My identity was also a researcher. My identity career-wise was also in social media. So who I am was not wrapped up in more than one thing. So I want to talk you through this idea of making sure that you're moving away from the conventional approach of just having this one ultimate goal. Conventionally, we have this idea that in order to be successful, there's one ultimate thing and only one thing that you can and should do. People move from formal education to their early career, to their mid-career, all the way to this advanced place where it's like, yes, I want to be the CEO of this one company or do just this one thing. Only one ambition for your career. But if you have just that one ambition, your entire identity will be wrapped up in it. You'll likely only leverage the opportunities that come across your path for that one piece of your career. What about the other opportunities that haven't come across your path at all? So what I want to propose to you is this, and what I have seen from successful people is this. You can have, let's say, Jennifer, who is an early stage lawyer. And as a lawyer, since she's gone to school formally in her law education, she's only in her early career. Let's say she just graduated. But Jennifer has also been on the side cultivating her career as a content creator. She puts out information on, I don't know if it's TikTok or LinkedIn or anything. And in that bit, she's actually quite more advanced. She's relatively mid-career as a content creator. But Jennifer is also very talented as a speaker, and she's been speaking at different universities on how to become a great lawyer, on how to be a great law student. So Jennifer, the speaker, is elite level. She commands 6 figures anytime she goes to speak for this particular topic. So just because Jennifer is a lawyer doesn't mean that being a lawyer in her case is the only thing. She's doing multiple things. Her identity isn't wrapped up in only one aspect, because in the modern way we work, with the ability to work remotely, with the ability to get many different partnerships and to work with all sorts of people from all over the world, you can do multiple roles. And successful people very much do multiple roles. Let's move on to, for example, Elon Musk. Elon Musk doesn't only have Tesla. He doesn't only have SpaceX. He has been working on multiple things at different stages of his career, and he's bringing these different things together and focusing on them in different ways. Even with the examples I gave you before with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, yes, he was a basketball player, but he also had so many brand partnerships, Nike, Air Jordans. I think his billionaire or his empire is primarily actually on Air Jordans and not the fact that he was the greatest basketball player of all time. Multiple identities within your career. Any one of those things, if it happens to disappoint you, you can pick up on something else and come back to it and continue to nurture it. Just because one thing is down doesn't mean your whole entire career needs to be down. Area 2, entrenched in truth and possibilities. So I also have this picture of Elon Musk up here because I want to tell you a story that his wife often talks about him when he was back in college. He received a 98% on one of his tests, 98%. That's very close to 100%. And if it's me, I would have been like, 198%, close enough, and I'm done with it. But not Elon Musk. Being the perfectionist that he is, he went to his professor and he asked them, I need these 2 extra points. I need these 2 extra points. And he relentlessly wanted those 2 points. Why? Why did those 2 points matter to him? Because even though he knew the truth that yes, he received the 98% score, he saw the possibility of getting what he deemed as perfection. He saw that things like your grade scores are actually subjective. You can take the score as it is, or you can talk to the teacher, find out what you need to do to go the extra mile and go above and beyond what you think is necessary. Why? Because no means nothing. No, when he's told no, it means nothing to Elon Musk. When Michael Jordan was told no, he just ignored the person and kept on doing what he wanted to do. When Oprah Winfrey is told no, she just goes on and does something else and comes back and continues to work on what it is. No is only a reference point for you to start working harder to see how it is that you can actually get what you want. So first, on the end part, no means nothing. It can be beneficial and it is definitely advisable to get other people's opinions, but it is up to you to push past that and move forward. Second, the O. Even though people can do multiple things and have multiple components to their career, they tend to have one guiding focus in any given month and even in any given year usually. You might be doing multiple things, but you know that for this point in time, I'm focused on building this one out. I'm focused on building this one out, and everything else is just kind of cooling on the back burner. It's warming on the back burner. Multitasking successfully is a myth that will only leave you in disappointment. So make sure that even if you have multiple career identities that you've cultivated, at any given time, your focus, your attention is primarily on one and building that one out until maybe you're able to put it on the side and it continues to go as you build another one up. The W, the why of what you're doing, is the most critical aspect of anything. There's this saying that the direction that you're going in is much more important than the speed at which you're going. Somebody may be saying that they're moving very fast, but you don't know if they're moving fast in the wrong direction. So continuously ask yourself, why? Why is it that you're doing something? Why is it this activity is important to me? Why am I doing this as part of my job or as part of my business or as part of my overall career? And I'm not saying that you're going to get the answer each and every time or that it will immediately make sense to you, but continuously press on that idea of the things that I do, the way I spend my time. It needs to be directly feeding into the larger picture of who I am and who I want to become. And third, but definitely not the last, continuously learning, relearning, and unlearning. If you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on TikTok, if you follow me anywhere, you know that I have for years been an avid reader. I am an avid proponent of you must learn, you must learn, you must read, you must continuously learn. Why? Because the next 2 decades, in terms of the future of work, the way the world is working, is going to be pivotal. People are going to have to unlearn old ways of doing things, unlearn old skills that are no longer beneficial, and learn new skills that are much more beneficial. The rate at which the world is changing is much faster than ever before in the history of mankind. So if you're not learning, you're going to be doing yourself a huge disservice. So first, in terms of the Agile Learning Manifesto, make sure that your business outcomes or your work outcomes or your job outcomes are more the focus than simply the knowledge gained. Knowledge in and of itself is not going to benefit anybody, but knowledge that is applied towards actual outcomes is the best way to completely revamp your entire life and go from failure to success. Second, having the growth mindset over simply having the current skill set. Continuously learning, unlearning, and relearning requires you to understand that things don't stay the same. You're able to learn at any age. I saw a video the other day of a man, I believe he had just turned 70 or 80 something, 88. And he had just started learning how to ice skate. And he was putting on his first ice skating performance with his teacher. Now you'll hear a lot of people saying, oh, I'm over 50, I'm too old to learn anything. Or I'm over 40, I'm too old to learn new things. Or God forbid, I'm over 30, I've already done all my schooling. You're never too old. It's never too old and it's never too late. Third on this point, real time embedded over training time offline. Niger people, we love to talk about training. I went for a training, I went for this training. Great, wonderful. Again, knowledge gained is great, but how are you applying it? How are you using that knowledge in the real world, in real time? And I want to tell you this, and I often tell people this. I've hired dozens upon dozens of people over the years, and bar none, my absolute best hire has to this day not finished school, not finished college, not finished university, to this day. And why does it matter? Because to me, what she's learning in the books, great, but the way she applies her knowledge, the way she is doing things in the real world results that she gets are much more important. I'm sorry, I heard something. Nope, okay, great. And last is community compounding. So let me just go to this last slide before we open it up for our questions. I want you to make sure that you are using the knowledge I'm telling you today to invest in yourself for the pits and the peaks, right? Because life is full of pits and peaks. You might have a peak when you get into the school that you like, but then your pits when you're not doing well in school. You're peaking again when you graduate from school because you're thinking this is the best thing that can happen. But then you feel like you're in a pit again when you're rejected from the job of your dreams. But oh, here comes another peak. You've received a job that's even better. Oh, but here comes another pit. The salary is not keeping up with inflation. the pits and the peaks of the world. And I was just referring to a sermon that I constantly listen to that talks about you can be standing on the top of a hilltop, looking out, thinking that you're at the highest level that you can reach. But then suddenly you realize I'm at the top of a hill, there's a mountain over there. But to get to the top of the mountain, you have to go back down into the valley to climb up again. So in order for us to go back down into the valley, you might feel that failure and come up again to the peak of success by creating and shaping more than one career identity, by being entrenched in truth and possibilities, and by learning and relearning as though your life depends on it. So what I'm going to leave you with is this idea of 2 obituaries. And I know it was, God forbid I die. Okay, yes, I understand that. But if in the case of having to think through what if, think of one, an obituary version that you write out of the life that you would love to lead with all of the elements that you can imagine, the career you want, the personal life you want, the money, the finances that you want. Write out that obituary, what is in there? And then write out another one on the life that you currently lead, with it proceeding as the way things are right now. And look at those 2. Examine the difference. Identify the key differences between the life you ultimately want to lead and the current life you're leading if you allow things to go the way they are. And think to yourself, what do I need to do right now? Who do I want to become through this process? So I want to thank you all so much for your time. We're going to open it up to the questions. I'm going to be looking into your questions right now. If you want to connect, please send me messages, DMs on @ChiniCo, and follow us on @CompanyIsYou, Instagram, Twitter, all of those things, TikTok. I am on there, and I'll be very happy to connect with you and to answer any questions that you may have. But let's open it up to some of our Q&A right now, and I'll stop sharing my screen.
All righty then. Oh my God, Dr. Chini, you are the best. Of course, I'm going to go straight into our question and answers. Our question and answer segment. We have so many people that have sent in questions. Let's start with this one. Someone says, how do I leverage on everything that I've done if I'm trying to move from one job role to another? So I think what this person is trying to say is, you mentioned how you shouldn't let just one career define you. So I think it's trying to figure out how to transition or how to identify other careers that she can take on.
Okay, that's a very good question. So I think that what most people actually do is they start with what feels natural to them, right? Or let me step back. There are 2 different ways of going about this. Typically, that most people will tell you. One is to use your existing experiences and education, right? So what do you already know? What are you already good at? What have you already delivered upon? And for example, I went to school for healthcare operations management. So something that was a natural complement as another identity for me was to be a researcher, an academic, a professor. So I'm in academia because that's part of my formal education. So that's one aspect. What did you kind of go to school for? What do you already have experience in? But that's only one. And I think that a lot of people actually overemphasize education. And that's coming from me, a very highly overeducated person. It's not all just about what you already know or what you went to school for. What are you interested in? What do you identify that might be something that's up and coming, an up and coming industry, something that might make sense for you to go into the future? For me, I was just naturally curious about professional development. I was naturally curious about the world of work. For years and years, I just share information on, oh, what do you think about this happening in professional development? Have you looked at your resume in this way? Oh, how do you talk to your boss about this sort of thing? So it was very natural for me to build Company Is You, for example, right? Because after 6-7 years of just talking to people about work, of mentoring people through their own job transitions and of looking at the trends in terms of how people work, it was a natural flow. So think of, yes, what are you formally good at? What do you know already? But also, what are you interested in? What is something that you would be happy to follow the trends or read about or learn about for the next 5 to 6 years?
I just want to follow up on that because I'm curious. You know how there's this, I don't know, just this train of thoughts that you shouldn't do too many things. They say jack of all trades, master.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Does this, mean, what do you think about that? Is it possible? Do all the things that you do have to be connected, or can you do separate things?
You can do completely separate things. So I will say it's ideal, and it tends to be easier in some ways if they're connected. But I always preempt that by saying, given the caveats, you don't see me doing 5, 10 different things. I do 2, maximum 3. And I always tell my clients 2, maximum 3, so that you're being deliberate about what you're building up in terms of your career work streams, right? So I focus on one thing, and then I'm slowly working on others. And when I mean slowly working on other things, it means that the majority of my time is focused on one main thing, but maybe I'm sending emails to people, reaching out, networking about something else. Or the majority of my time is spent on one thing, but maybe I'm just reading up, developing my skills, learning more about something else. Don't try to do 100 different things at once. You only have 24. You only have 24 hours in one day, and you'll drive yourself crazy trying to do too many things. So I always say it's best if you're deliberate about 2 or 3 things, because that's when you have somebody, they'll be doing fashion, they'll be doing makeup, they'll be selling hair. They'll now tell you that they do resumes. They'll now say, oh, okay, I also do real estate. That's a recipe for disaster.
That's just too much. Okay, now this person says, a Precious Okonjo says, I know what I can offer, but I don't know how to express myself. I find it difficult to speak one-on-one, and I prefer writing to attending an interview. How can I improve on myself?
Okay, so I would need more clarity on what you mean by improving on yourself, because just because you prefer writing doesn't mean, like, for example, I prefer writing to talking to people. I'm a very strong introvert. 99.9% of the time, I'm going to prefer to be at home, ideally by myself. I don't even want my husband around. I don't even want the kids around. I want to be by myself, protecting my energy. But that doesn't mean I don't share information. It doesn't mean I don't write, for example, posts on social media. It doesn't mean I don't write, for example, articles, because if you are not connecting with people, and this is something I actually still struggle with today, if you're not sharing what you know, if you're not showcasing yourself, I think you guys talked a lot about personal branding today and showing up, right? Showing up is half the battle. If people don't know you exist, if they don't even know that you're around, and if they don't know what you know or what services you could potentially offer, then there's kind of no point to all of it. So I think look at the areas that you're most comfortable with and start there. I actually started mostly by doing very, very long posts on Instagram. Somebody was making fun of me. This is years ago. My post would be like, I don't know, 1,000 words or however long. And someone's like, this Chiniko with all of her long words, like, what's this whole thing? But that's how I was most comfortable expressing myself. Like, I don't have to be Slay Mama, but you're going to see a lot of words and hear, the words that are in my mind. So I say, pick the formats that you're most comfortable with, start there, and then slowly expand out.
All right, then. Thank you so much for that. This person says, how do you know the time to completely quit a role or an identity that is draining you mentally and consistently? How do you tell the difference between perseverance and pivoting? I think that's a brilliant question.
That's an excellent question that I would say even I don't have the perfect answer to, and I don't think anybody has a perfect answer to, because it depends it's situationally dependent. It's dependent on your own particular situation. But there are a few bullet points that I tend to ask people to go through when they're thinking of this. One is, let's just be honest, the financial aspect of it. I don't think you should ever stay in any role only because of finances, but it's always better to be able to eat and be a little unhappy, be depressed, as opposed to being both depressed and broke. So I always say, can you feasibly afford to lose this job? And I don't want it to be the only defining factor, because it certainly isn't, but it is a factor. And that's part of why I, along with kind of like career and professional discussions, you have to have those financial discussions. People need to, and ideally should be, saving towards having 6 months worth of expenses so that you always have some sort of buffer in case you ever find yourself in these sorts of situations. So that's one, thinking through the financial aspect. The second is thinking through the fulfillment aspects, right? So for that job itself, what aspect of it is really making you uncomfortable? Is it the work? Like, is it the technical work you're doing? Is it the knowledge? Is it that you feel like you're not capable in the job itself? Or is it the people, for example, right? There's some people who might be your colleagues, who might be your bosses, and you're just like, I wish I could be doing this job just in a different company. Or I wish I could be, or it could be that you wish you could be working with that same company and the people, but you could just be doing something different. So you need to determine what aspect is it? Is it the technical knowledge that you dislike? Or is it the people, the culture, the way that the company works that you dislike? I always say that if it's the technical aspect that you dislike, it's always good to have a conversation with either your boss or some of the people in charge, and have a discussion around how you can pivot or change the sort of work you do. Because there are many companies who just have terrible work cultures. And if you find a company with a good work culture and you might be able to carve out a new niche for yourself, I think it's advisable to see if you can make it work. But if it's the people, if it's the culture that's giving you stress, that's giving you hypertension, there's no need to die for any type of job on this work, in this world. So think through what aspect is it? Is it the people or is it the work itself? And last but not least, the growth. The growth is probably my most important element. Are you growing in this role? Are you growing in this company? I recently spoke to somebody who had been in the same position for 12 years. So ever since she entered the company as an intern, she hadn't, her title changed, right? She was no longer called intern, but she was still very junior, still doing exactly the same work, the same type of tasks that she was doing 12 years ago as an intern. So there was zero growth. So always think through, what is my growth trajectory if I stay exactly where I am right now? So those are the three areas: the financial aspect, the technical versus culture, and the growth potential that you have. If all of those areas aren't fulfilling for you, if you're not making the type of money you want in the role, if you hate the culture, if you hate the work itself, and if you're not growing, then I beg, as soon as possible, find your way out. Start interviewing like yesterday.
Thank you so much for that. That spoke to me personally, because sometimes you can get stuck in your head and you can't really point out exactly what is making you unhappy. This next question, I think you would find very interesting, especially because you're a mom as well. This person says that she is 27 with 2 toddlers and a teaching job. How does she transition from sitting on her face and waiting for a monthly salary to actually creating multiple career identities for herself? She says it's going slowly and she has put all her time and energy into creating these identities. But as a mom, that gets exhausting. And with the kids and everything, how does she keep herself going? She's sick of being financially dependent.
I can completely empathize with that. And having, 2 young children myself, especially in the middle of this pandemic, when they're not really going to school, they're around you all the time, you are the primary caretaker. It's really difficult. Like, I want to just first and foremost say, I hope everybody understands like the gravity of how difficult it is to not just go about the work that you want to do and to try to expand the work you're doing. But you also have humans, tiny humans, who are dependent on you for the things that they do on a day-to-day basis. So I can only talk about my own experience because I don't want to speak on the experiences of others. It's a mental challenge most of the time. It's really a mental challenge. And you've probably heard of all of kind of like the tactics that I would be able to tell you in terms of, okay, post more about what you know on social media so that people can see you, post your knowledge and start networking on LinkedIn, talk to other peers in your industry and start having those conversations. But to even be able to post is kind of like, where do I find the time? Where do I find the headspace? Because there's somebody who needs me all the time. There's always shouting, mommy, 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 money, and you can't even think. And then to be able to network, it's like, when am I even able to leave the house? They wake up early, they do this, they do that. So how can I start talking to other people? You can try Zoom, you can try phone calls, but those things also require energy. So I want to come off by saying, I know you likely know the tactics, right? There are no tactics in terms of the actual activities that I can tell you that will be brand new. But what I do want to do is to encourage you in terms of your approach, like your mental approach to it. So most of you probably don't know, but my older daughter is actually quite sick. She has a chronic condition, and we've been dealing with it for, she's now 5, so about 3 years now. And it's just been much more difficult in the pandemic, because if she happens to get COVID, it would just be a very bad situation. So I have stepped into the role very recently of like being her primary caretaker. I am her everything. I'm her mom, I'm her nurse. I'm taking care of, I'm her teacher. Like, I do everything, and I never had to do everything before. So a lot of my time is now in this, like, you're a mom, you're really a mom to a sick child, and also to, you know, another child. And it was frustrating. Like, I have to be honest, it was very frustrating, because I never imagined myself being just a mom. I hope that's, not to put down any stay-at-home moms, but it was never in my career plan to primarily spend most of my time any given day on my children. Let me say, I love my children. My children are fantastic. They're great. I'm a good mom, but it just wasn't in my vision of what like my days would look like, to spend so much time being a caregiver. So I'm in the US right now. I'm in New York. And for years, even before they were born, months before my first child was born, we had 2 nannies. So by the time, you know, the kids came along, we've always had 2 nannies, and we've had 2 nannies until we left South Africa about 5 months ago. So all of a sudden, because we left rather quickly, came back to the US, and now in the US, we've basically hunkered down. Nobody really comes in and out, social distancing, until the whole COVID thing really blows over because of her illness. So now I'm doing everything. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. I was like, okay, how do I get the cook and cleaner into the house? And it's like, well, if you're letting them come in and come out, God forbid they bring COVID in, and then what will you say? Because whatever would happen to your child. So now I'm everything, and I'm just kind of like, it changes your whole understanding of who you are. Like, who am I really? It was like all this schooling, all this Harvard education, just for me to be wiping somebody's bum morning, noon, and night. Do you know what I mean? So I just want to empathize with the person. Like, I really do understand your situation. But one thing you have to keep in mind is that I don't want to talk about sermons too much, but I was listening to a sermon the other day, and it just said, here is holy. Like, you have to keep in mind that, one, no situation is permanent. And God has put you in your current stance, right? In the current place that you are for a reason. And if you're forever thinking through, how do I get to that next place? And this is just generally for anybody who's thinking about failure versus success. Because for a long time, my focus was on, what is the next thing I can do to become successful? What is the next thing I need to do in order to be, great and all of that thing? And always focusing on the future. But I was never focused enough on the here and now. So if you're always thinking, okay, in the next 6 months, everything will be great and I'll be wonderful. In the next 6 months, she'll be healthy and things will return to normal. In the next 6 months, I'll have raised this amount of money and everybody will, know that I'm great. But what about today? You're not focusing enough on the situation God has placed you in today, and just kind of allowing yourself to say, where I am now, God has placed me here for a reason, and let me learn the lessons that He wants me to learn here. Let me become the person and Him work on my character. What is it that He's working on in terms of my character, where I am today? So I know that I've probably gone off on side of a slight tangent, but I think it's important for us to continuously remember that happiness isn't looking into the future all the time. Your happiness isn't built on this future idea of success. It will always be a moving post. Like I said, once you reach that one level of success, of obtaining something, you'll quickly, after maybe a week, you're looking at the next thing. So begin to look at like your current status. What is your current place? Where are you now? And accept and really love the fact that where I am today, here is holy. Where I am now, what I have now is it's where God wants me to do. And I'll be happy with what I have now as I look forward to the next thing, as I work toward the next thing, but I'm not going to overlook the importance of what I have currently.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. And I hope the person that asked that question was able to pick nuggets from what she's just said. Just to buttress the point you've made, we live in a society where we're very focused on the next best thing, okay, you're in primary school, you're thinking of secondary school, then you're thinking of university, and we don't really take time out to enjoy the here and now, the things that we've achieved. There's something my mom says to me all the time. She says, Shaitan, you know that your life is actually somebody else's prayer request, right? So enjoy it. So, sometimes we are so focused on what we're trying to do that we forget that we're currently living the lives that we've prayed for, or also, looked forward to in our journeys to become successful women. Now, this question here, the person says, I have a dilemma to choose between experience and money. She's in a job that where she's learning about law practice, but the pay is very low. What should she do?
That's a tough one. But once again, I have been there, right? I've been there. So I'll start off by giving an example from my own life. I'll tell you what I did, and I'll also give you options of what might make sense for you to do. Okay, so when I was, again, still a student, I decided I wanted more experience, and I just began to do a lot of free work. I did free work. So that picture of me in India, yes, my flight was taken care of, but I was working there for free. I wasn't getting paid, and I was broke, like not just small broke. I was dirt broke. The ramen noodles, all of those things. That was morning, noon, and at night. I was eating ramen. I was still a student. Okay. So comes around that I eventually get to Nigeria, and I start doing work for Federal Ministry of Health, and I'm consulting for different governments around the world. But that work itself is also not paid. Like, I was doing NYSC and doing other things, but like the money it's nothing to, walk home to or call home about. So you're doing these things because you want experience. But at some point in time, I really want you to understand or learn from the mistake I made. At some point in time, the experience you have, the knowledge you have, you're no longer just a novice, you're no longer starting. And if the people around you continuously treat you like you're a novice, when you know your stuff, when you know you've become maybe not an expert, but you're far more advanced than your peers or the people in the colleague or even your mentors are treating you, that would be a red flag. Because the people who are giving you this experience, it shouldn't be that they're putting you in this position just for you to stay there forever. Remember the person who was technically an intern for like 12 years. It shouldn't be that you're in that position forever. It should be that those same people are saying, okay, you've become much better. Now we're going to put you in this next thing. They're giving you a plan. Every person who I have mentored or who has worked closely with me in my organizations, I've given them a plan for their growth. I've said, this is where you are right now. In the next year, we want you to be here. 2 years after that, you might be here. And ultimately, even if it means you're not working with me, or even if it means you're not working in this organization, this is what I think you have potential for. And for some people, it meant them opening their own company. For some people, it meant them maybe opening a new division within the same company. But there was always a plan of, this is how you're going to advance. If the people you're currently working with right now haven't given you any indication of that type of plan, I would definitely see that as a red flag. Definitely see that as a red flag. You can also, and maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they've just like forgotten, they have too many things going on. So you can also initiate that conversation and say, hey, let's develop a plan for me for the next 3 years, for the next 5 years, or however long you think might be feasible. And if in that discussion, they're just, hey, well, okay, well, maybe let's think about it. They're not exactly, then that's a problem. So I think at least bring up the idea of what that plan might be for you as you're getting that experience. So that's one. Two is when I was younger, there was somebody who I worked for who would play mental games all the time. And the person would always say, you're not loyal. You're not loyal. You're not loyal to the organization. You're not loyal to this company. even if you're just like getting ideas about other things. And anybody who left the company, they'll be like, that person is so disloyal. It could be on Thursday or Monday, the boss is talking about how much they love this person. The person now resigns on Wednesday. By Thursday, they're telling everybody this person was rubbish, this person was trash. And it's just like, but they're just trying to move forward with their career. Why are they suddenly a horrible person? Okay, so that was my experience. I noticed that trend in this organization. So I was just saying to myself, this person doesn't have a plan for me to grow. Any ideas I come to this person with, they're not grooming me to become a better person. So I already knew that I would have to make my own way out. I'm no longer loyal to just one company. I will have conversations. And I think it's important for people to understand in this day and age, maybe in our parents' generations, people would stay at a company, or even before that, they'll stay at a company for 10, 20, maybe even 30 years. The average span of people at jobs now is typically no longer than 18 months. So 18 months, people will hop from one job to the other. And during this pandemic, it's actually been closer to like 9 months, because people are the great resignation. People will quit, they'll get another job. And I have seen people get a bump of $20,000 and up just by leaving one job and doing the same thing in another company that appreciates them. So I would say if you have that conversation and you're noticing that people don't want to grow you, they don't want to expand your career, start talking to other companies. I'm not saying that you're interviewing, I'm saying you start networking and planting the seeds, because the seed that you plant today might grow into your ideal job up to 1 or 2 years from now.
Okay, I think this will be our last question. This person says, hi, Dr. Chinny. What do you think of a situation where only a manager of the finance department of a company gets a KPI bonus, while the other team members are not allocated KPI bonuses? What and how do you advise the team members to do to get their share of the bonus as well?
Actually, a very easy question, because it's not something that's in your hand. It seems to be a policy of the organization. And again, I think you should take it as a reflection of how much the organization values people at that level. I've actually seen a couple of things happen when that sort of thing takes place. So I've seen an organization where the manager was the only person receiving the KPI bonus, right? But he himself said, you know what, I'm not the only person who deserves it. And he, out of what he was paid as the bonus, gave bonuses to his team member. But that's taken on his own personal, he's technically taking his money in order to pay other people, because officially on record, it is his money because he's the only person who gets that bonus. And that's why I say this is a very straightforward question, because there actually isn't very much that you can do. Now, I think that you and your team members can bring it up as a meeting with your bosses or with the leaders of the organization. But especially in Nigeria, that's a very sensitive thing, because some people have egos. And if you even bring up the fact that you haven't been paid fairly, they'll start being like, oh, you people are not, you should be thankful that you even have a job. How dare you ask for this sort of thing? So I think understand the personality of the people that you might have to bring it up with. If they seem to be open to that sort of thing, then have the discussion to say, hey, we believe that, in the instance of this and that, we deserved it. But also come with evidence, right? Come with the reasons why you deserve it. You don't just say, give me my money right now. You should have been, and I always tell people this, you should be tracking exactly what you did throughout the year. So whatever your calendar year is, whether it's January to December, or if you guys do some sort of like tax-based calendar, whatever the calendar year is, you should always have your own private Excel spreadsheet of what you have accomplished. So you can say on this date, I worked on this project from here until here, and these are the outcomes of the project itself, and that is how it was beneficial, and this is what I did towards it. So that at the end of the year, when you have situations like this, you are coming with facts, not just feelings. We want facts, not feelings. You're not coming and saying, I feel like we deserve a bonus because you guys should treat us properly. It's not about how you feel, it's about facts. You say, yes, the manager did such and such towards deserving this bonus. At the same time, within what he did, this is what I contributed. This is what my colleague Temi contributed. This is what our friend Sharon contributed. Whatever it was that you did, the actions you took in order to add value to the company, those are the facts that you bring with you that will give you the actual power to say, this is why we deserve it. So base everything you talk about in facts, not feelings. Make sure you're always tracking your spreadsheets of the things that you delivered on in terms of work throughout the years, because it's easy to forget, right? It's easy in that sort of conversation for them to say, okay, but what did you do? And now you're saying, well, last week I poured the coffee. Nobody cares about you pouring the coffee. Make sure you're writing it all down. You're bringing the facts to the conversation. Because at the end of the day, you're being paid not just to sit around and click on your computer and look pretty. You're being paid because your actions are driving some sort of value to the company, whether that is directly financial value, like if you're in banking, if you're bringing in new customers, your customers are bringing in more money, and that's the value you add. Let's say that you are a graphic artist. If your graphic artist, your posters are being seen by such and such people, those same posters, those same people who see the poster, maybe they're buying a ticket now for the event or whatever the case may be. You're adding value. They're not paying you just because you're nice. They're paying you because you add value. Track the value that you're bringing.
Facts, not feelings. Come with those responses. You got to let them know that you've been working.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that thought-provoking speech, Chini. But before I let you go, would you like to say a few final words to the audience, especially where they can, find you and, send you messages and just be in touch with you generally?
Yes, definitely. So everybody, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, but I'm not really a Twitter person. You Twitter people, you guys are so vicious. Somebody will just be minding their business. They'll come on Twitter and they'll say, good morning. And you say, what type of morning is good? Look at your ugly face. Why are you even saying the morning is good? You Twitter people are mean. So I just stay in my space on Instagram primarily. I'm also on TikTok. I'm also on LinkedIn, Chini Ogunro. Send me a message. I'm fairly responsive. Well, I try to be responsive. You might see me reply 2 weeks later, but there are a lot of messages and it's actually me. I don't have somebody, I don't have anybody handling my social media pages. It's actually me. So please send me a message at ChiniCO. Let me see if I can type it in to everyone. At ChiniCO on every platform. But if you're looking for more job-related information, if you're trying to understand the dynamics of the future of work and how work is changing, I am at Company Is You. And if you are looking to develop a portfolio career, or the step-by-step process for how you can understand how to expand your career and how to deliver a polished professional service, go to the Company Is You website and you'll be able to see the webinars that we have and the courses that we have available to you. You will be like an expert consultant able to deliver your own service to anybody around the world, actually, because that's the system that I have developed. So it's been a lot of fun. Thank you all so much. I've had a great time on here, and I hope that these little nuggets have been helpful for you.
Oh, thank you again. It's been a pleasure listening to you, and we cannot wait to see what you do next.
You have been, I have to say, a wonderful, wonderful host. You look great. You're hosting all well. So thank you for being such a gracious and fun host to have.
Thank you so much. Okay, so there you have it, folks. We have had an packed day, but it is time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for attending the Confidence in Action Summit. We definitely hope that you feel ready and you learned a lot to take you on that next career move. But before we close, please give a huge round of applause, of course, in the chat section to Istio, to Wamaka, and Dr. Chini in the chat section. Let them know how you feel about your experience, and please thank them for doing such a great job. Now, once we end this webinar, a short survey will automatically appear on your screen. Please take a few minutes to tell us about your experience and what you'd like us to do next. My name is Sheitan Atigari. I have been your host. I am also on Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter, Sheitan Atigari. That's SEYITAN ATIGARIN. Of course, if you have any content on social media that you want to tag us on, that's as She Leads Africa, Darling Nigeria, and the hashtag CIA Summit NG. CIA Summit NG. Now, before we go, I'm sure you've been checking my hair out, looking like, why does Sheitan look so late today? I have to say that the sponsors over at Darling Nigeria fixed me up with this beautiful, beautiful hair. It feels amazing and it looks amazing. So if you want to get the hookup, you know where to go get your hair. I've had such an amazing time. I don't even want you guys to go, but we're going to be back here. You know, last week we did South Africa. Today we're doing Nigeria, and next week we're taking it all the way to Kenya, baby. All right then. Thank you for taking the time to attend the Confidence in Action Summit. For more information and future updates, please don't forget, follow She Leads Africa, follow Darling Nigeria, and if you're looking for me, Shaitan Atigari across all social media platforms. All the best and have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to be confident in action. Bye.